Hey everybody, welcome to Carl's Opinion. This is our late morning, early afternoon live call-in show. Just wanted to start one early today during the week. As you know, I'm an attorney, a full-time attorney, so I can't really do these early shows during the weekdays unless I take the day off, which, if I play hooky, but then everybody will know I'm playing hooky because I'm doing the live stream. So it's like, oh, I wasn't doing a live stream. It's like, we saw you in the live stream, and then you even uploaded it. It's like, oh, yeah, so kind of hard to do that at the same time. But yeah, on the weekend, so I've been trying to do stuff a little bit earlier in the evening. And today I figured, well, I was up and I was looking at a bunch of different news stories from Washington Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Examiner, and I figured, hey, I want to cover some of these stories. I was going to go on last night, but by the time I got ready to go, it was pretty late. I mean, it was really late. It would have been like 11:30, 11 live stream. So I watched. Hey, Laura, how you doing? But I watched one of the gentlemen that just came on early that put his name in the chat. That's Information Man. I was watching. I caught the tail end of his podcast. That's the guy at the top of the chat there. Information Man Speaks podcast. Peace to you. He said peace to you. Good guy. Definitely a different point of view on a lot of issues. Well, not actually a lot, actually, on some issues. In some issues, I agree completely with him, but that's the whole thing, nice thing about YouTube. I don't look for clones when I go out to different people's sites, like even Tony and I will disagree on different things. Axe and I will disagree on different things. O'Shea Duke Jackson and I will disagree on different things, but I always believe in, one, finding common ground. And also, I want to hear different people's points of view. We don't want to get the same trap, the leftists get into. Hey, Jervis, how you doing there? Hey, Forbidden, good seeing you. So nobody's going to report anyone out here getting that. Forbidden, I got your notification. Forbidden, I got your notification. It was after I was posting this, and I said, oh, shit. But I saw, it was like, I saw you coming on, but I saw you coming on at 9:30 my time. And so even though I was posting it for 10:30, I figured I was good because it was an hour after your show had started. But yeah, I was putting all things together. Then I went back to regular YouTube instead of my channel YouTube. And I saw you had just started when I was getting ready to post everything up here. I had everything prepared. But yeah, well, I'm definitely getting your notifications for sure, Forbidden, no doubt. And hey, Deplorable Bobby, how you doing? But anyway, so yeah, we don't want to get stuck in the same trap that the leftists get stuck into when they just, they listen to themselves only and they just listen to people they only agree with. Don't do that. That's bad because it weakens your position. I mean, if we hold positions that can't be challenged, or if we listen to other people's positions that make us uncomfortable, and we just like, oh, I don't want to hear that. Then we're just as bad as the leftists. And next thing you know, not necessarily today, not necessarily tomorrow, but soon, and for the rest of your life, we'll be just like them. People will be trying to talk to us about something, have a debate with us, and we'll just start going off on them and yelling and screaming, and because we can't defend our own position, because we allowed our own positions to get weak and stale, and we allowed our own positions to not be susceptible to challenge. Because I'll come up with an idea, and then I'll go on somebody else's site, and I'll say, I didn't think about that before. It's like, wait a second, maybe I need to go back, take a look at my position, research it some more, and make sure I'm on good footing. Because if you're not on good footing, then maybe, and heck, here's a big one for you. Maybe if you're not on good footing with your position, maybe it's wrong. Hey, Darla, how you doing? But everyone in Carl's world. Hey. But yeah, so then who knows? Then that's a little cognitive dissonance because who likes admitting you're wrong? I don't like admitting I'm wrong. But sometimes you have to admit you're wrong. Like, oh, I think this was a good idea. Then it turns out you look at the evidence, you do some research on your own. But that always starts with somebody challenging you. And that's what the left is missing right now. They don't want to hear anybody challenging them. You watch Tucker Carlson. Tucker brings on, liberals all the time on his show. And he does that to challenge himself, but also to challenge his audience. And say, okay, let's hear this position. And he brings on some intelligent people. Every once in a while, he brings somebody dumb on. But it's just because, they're out front and center. Like he'll bring a Swalwell on. Well, that guy's an idiot. And nobody's really listening to him, but he's out front and center getting, sucking up all the oxygen on the leftist media, MSNBC, CNN. So somebody has to bring an idiot on just because, he's out front and center. But most of the times you bring people on, like he has that one guy on who, he used to work for the Obama administration. He was on the other night. He was kind of unshaven and stuff like that. He's a lobbyist now, but he's I can't remember his name, damn it. But he'll bring him on. He'll have some good debates with him. He'll bring the one guy on that used to work, the bald-headed guy. I can't remember his name either. He used to work for the Clintons, and he worked with Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. And he'll bring him on to debate some issues. He brings on a professor from the University of Maryland. They'll discuss issues on race and feminism and things like that. And those are really great debates. I mean, those are interesting. Now, the leftist media, they won't do that. They'll put somebody on, they'll put a rhino Republican on saying, oh, this represents the Republicans. Like Nicole Wallace. Well, she just hates Trump. So, I mean, Trump could say exactly the same thing Nicole Wallace was saying, 4 years ago, 6 years ago. And because Trump said it now she hates it. And then it's like, oh, well, then of course, everything just hate Trump, hate Trump, hate Trump. Well, they'll bring other rhino Republicans, people who work for like Jeb Bush. Nicole Wallace worked for Jeb Bush. People who work for, other Republicans that, Trump just kind of beat up on, and they have an axe to grind. People like Nicole Wallace also worked for McCain, and Steve Schmidt worked for McCain. So, of course, they hate, Trump, and so they just come on and they, oh, look, see the Republican point of view. No, that's not really the Republican point of view. That's the Trump derangement syndrome Republican point of view, because their guy lost. And you know what? And all these rhino Republicans, especially the ones in the Senate, a lot of them wouldn't have their job right now if it wasn't for this guy in 2016. If it wasn't Trump running on the top of the Republican ticket in 2016, the House and the Senate would have gone to the Democrats in 2016. Remember, it was supposed to be the blue wave in 2016. I mean, let me tell you something. That Tuesday night, they were all expecting the House and the Senate to flip over to the Democrats. Okay, and then as the night went on, it's like, oh, well, yeah, we never really expected the Senate to go. Oh, yeah, they did. Trust me, we were all watching that campaign all the way through, and I was watching the MSNBC and CNN. I was watching to see what they're saying, and trust me, they were all expecting the Senate to flip and the House to flip, in 2016. And then, oh, well, we didn't expect that. And then 2018, same thing. They were expecting both the House and the Senate to flip. And then it was like, and then I kind of misspoke a second ago, but then it was like in 2018, it was like, oh, no, we didn't expect the Senate to go. Well, nobody was saying the Senate the Republicans were going to pick up seats in the Senate. None of those guys were saying that at all. We picked up, what, 2 seats? Net, 2 seats from 51 to 53, I think it was. So, we don't want to get stuck in that. So, definitely go to other people's site. Information Man podcast is an excellent site to go on to. You want to definitely hear different perspectives, and you'll be on there and say, well, I disagree with that. Good. Disagree with it. But then you hear some intelligent stuff, and you say, hey. And the thing I like about Information Man's show is that he researches stuff a lot. Like you come onto the site, and Tony does the same thing on his site. A lot of research goes into Tony Patriot site. We can barely hear you. Oh, shit. Thanks. All right. Okay, now you get me instead of the music. Oh, wow. Sorry, guys. Didn't mean to have you listen to the music the whole time. Sorry, guys. Hey, thanks. Yeah, disabled. Thanks for that. Yeah, okay. Thanks, Tony, for add the little drama, but it's too loud. Well, actually, wait, Tony, that was my plan. My plan was to have the music playing at the same time to add the drama to my voice. So, yes, Tony, that was not a mistake. That was not an accident. That was done on purpose. Those lights were turned off on purpose. But anyway, thanks, Tony. Thanks, Disabled Vet, for putting that in the chat room. Glad I was looking at the chat room. That would have just been playing the whole time. I would have been really, 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 really upset at the end of this one. I'd been like, geez. It's like when you have a spot on your tie and nobody tells you. It's like, hey, I'm walking around all day with a spot on my tie, and everybody's just kind of walking around going, hey, that guy had a spot on his tie all day. It's like, But hey, okay. Anyway, what I was saying was, I was talking really good about not being in a bubble, but I'm not going to repeat all that in case some of you guys heard some of it. So we'll just tell you what we'll do. Now, this is a live call-in show. You see the phone number up there, 775-273-8970. And let me just hit this real quick. I'm gonna say welcome again here in a second because I'm gonna start recording this for my BitChute channel. So if I say welcome again to Carl's Opinion, don't think like I'm an idiot. Okay, I'm just gonna record this so I can upload this later to BitChute. So here we go. All right, guys, you can be part of the BitChute video. Hey, everybody, welcome to Carl's Opinion. To all those watching on BitChute, how you doing? There you go. All right, guys, so there you go. So you got to hear that again. All right, so, oh, you could hear me. Good. Excellent. So at least, okay, so good. I don't have to repeat everything. Thank you. Amen. Thanks, Tony. All right, so let's see. What are we going to get to now? So anyway, live calling show, 775-273-8970. If you want to call in, immigration is a big topic of the day, Joe Biden. And, of course, we're going to cover some of the Mueller report and Mr. Durham and Mr. Barr going after the original hunters. The hunters have now become the hunted. And Bill Barr, you know, let me just tell you, Bill Barr. Bill Barr is an establishment guy. That's why he was able to get through the nomination process. He's an establishment guy. He worked with H.W. Bush. So, I mean, the idea that, and this is for all the Democrats out there, the idea that, like, Bill Barr is some pro-Trump dude is totally false. And so him. You know, Bill Barr and the Bush family are real close. They're super close. Now, remember, the Bush family and Trump don't get along real well. I mean, some of the people in the Bush family were blaming Trump for for the Mama Bush dying of a heart attack. Okay, so they don't get along real well. So if Bill Barr is coming out and doing all these things, it's not doing it because he loves President Trump. It's not that at all. It's because he loves our country. He loves our country, and he's really pissed off about what these FBI agents, Department of Justice officials, State Department officials did to try to subvert our democracy. That's why he's doing what he's doing. He could give a shit about Trump. I'll tell you that right now. Okay? Bill Barr, and again, the only reason why he picked Bill Barr, because everybody said, look, you're not going to be able to get through who you want. Bill Barr was not Trump's first choice, second, third, fourth choice. But they said all of Trump's first, second, third, fourth choices were not going to get past confirmation, especially right in the middle of this Mueller investigation. It wasn't going to happen. So he had to go with the establishment guy. He wasn't real happy about that, but he did it anyway. So if Bill Barr is doing all this stuff, it's not because Bill Barr is like, I love Trump, I love Trump. No, Bill Barr is doing it because he loves the United States of America. And he wants to make sure this never happens again. Like he said, I want to make sure we get the politics out of the criminal justice system. I want to restore the criminal justice system to the way I remember when I was the Attorney General under H.W. Bush's administration. I want to get politics out of the criminal justice system. That's his big thing. And that's what he's going to do. Come hell or high water, he's going to do that. So, and that's a good thing. Can we trust Barr to arrest his buddy? Well, I think you can trust Barr to follow the evidence, Darla. I think that's I think see, Darla says, Bobby, my husband was a musician, God rest his soul, and my two sons also so I'm deaf. You got to listen to all the music around. But no, Barr's going to follow the evidence, and Durham is definitely going to follow it. Durham, like I've said before, Durham, I get accused of, as an attorney, of being kind of a dick. I mean, I really fight hard for my clients, and I just kind of go into court, and I take no prisoners, and I don't care about who likes me, who doesn't like me, or whatever. And, I'm representing my client. I'm fighting for them, period. Durham is that kind of an attorney. He's a dick, okay? And I'll say right now, he's a bigger dick than I am, which is the kind of guy you want, because he hates everybody. You can tell. He doesn't just not care if somebody likes him or not. You can just tell he hates everybody. That look on his face. I hate everybody. And like, just, give me an assignment, tell me what to do, and I'm going to go find the evidence, and that's it. And he's another guy. He's going to follow the evidence. And so I'm sure he's also pissed off because this guy is, a longtime attorney. He's the U.S. attorney in Connecticut for Connecticut, and I'm sure he's pissed off. Missing Republican senators in Oregon. Oh, the missing Republican senators in Oregon. Yeah, I heard the governor sent the state police out looking for him. This kind of reminds me of what happened in Wisconsin, except in reverse. Remember, that was Scott Walker, former governor of Wisconsin, and the Democrats, because they didn't want certain bills, he was trying to pass some anti-union bills, right-to-work type bills, and the Democrats were like, okay, if we split, then they won't have a quorum, and they can't pass anything. And so it was kind of so what you have now is going on in reverse. You got in Oregon, you got the Democrats control both the Assembly and the state Senate, and the state senators like, okay, if we split, they won't have a quorum, they can't pass anything, so we're going to leave. So you have the governor, the Democrat governor in Oregon, sending out the state police to go try to find him. And she was initially, excuse me, she initially was going to. What was I going to say? She was initially going to like try to like arrest him first, but that was a little too far to go. So she was hoping like maybe she'd catch him like running out the state. But pretty much once they get on the other side of the state, I don't think they can really issue a nationwide bench warrant for somebody in another state. I think the bench warrant would probably only be for in-state reasons. And then of course you want to run like to a Republican state like Idaho. It's like, okay, get to Idaho, and then you try to serve then you send over the warrant to Idaho saying, we want you to pick these guys up, and the governor's like, we ain't picking up shit, so it's like, have a nice day, good luck. But yeah, I get a kick out of that when Democrats in charge ramming laws down our throat and Republicans walked out and left the state. Right, exactly. Now, here's the deal. Okay, we live in a Republican democracy. We're a republic, okay? We have representatives, okay? And at the state level, it's pretty similar to at the federal level. Okay, elections matter. Period. Elections matter. Okay, now, if you live in a state and the majority of your people in your state say, we want a bunch of Democrats. Hey, look, I live in Nevada. We were a red state up until 10 minutes ago. Okay, we're now a blue state. Okay, we voted, this state, and I say we because it's my state, and I believe in electoral college. Sorry, I'm not one of those people who want to get rid of the electoral college. And amazingly enough, my Democratic governor also agrees. I was shocked. Anyway, we'll get to that in a second. But elections matter, and you got to come out to vote. Now, in my state, we had a Republican-controlled assembly, a Republican-controlled state senate up until the 2016 election. And then in 2017, we went to a Democrat assembly and a Democrat senate. Now, we still had our Republican governor in place, so he kept the lid on from too much stupid crap going forward. And that was good, okay? But then in 2018, my state elected a Democratic governor. Well, now you have a far-left assembly, a semi-far-left state senate, and a semi-far-left governor. In elections matter. So now they're not, I don't call it ramming down our throats. It's democracy. What do you want to do? I mean, my state decided to vote for a whole bunch of Democrats. They did a better job in 2018 than we did. They got out there. They were mad. They were angry. They were motivated. They got out to vote. And I was talking about the former Republican head of our party here in Nye County, Nevada, where I live in Pahrump, Nevada, just outside we border Clark County, Las Vegas. And he says, yeah, they did a better job getting out to vote. And they got out their vote better than the Republicans did. A lot of Republicans stayed home. Again, I don't know why. I know everybody. I guarantee you, everybody in the chat room, everybody who watches this channel, did not stay home in 2018. We all went out to vote, but a lot of people did. Oh, it's an off-year election. Oh, I got to get my nails done. Oh, I got to go watch the football game, or I'm going to watch reruns of Gilligan's Island or whatever. And a lot of us stayed home. Not us on this site, I know that, but us Republicans stayed home. So now I have a blue state. And so I don't consider they're ramming things down my throat because, well, we should have gone out to vote, and we would have kept my state red. Same thing in Oregon. Their state's blue. There are people who live in that state have said through their voting, through their ballot box, which is what we like, the ballot box, not like the FBI struck Page, McCabe, Comey, Clapper, Brennan kind of way of, not doing a democracy. We like democracies. Nobody argues in Oregon it wasn't a fair vote. Nobody argues in Oregon it wasn't a free, fair election that the Democrats won. So now they get to make the choices on what kind of laws to pass. And as long as they meet the constitutional requirements of the state and the constitutional requirements of the United States as well, then they get to pass those things. So the people of Oregon, if you're a Republican, don't stay at home. See and there's another problem. A lot of Republicans in Oregon do stay at home because they figure, what's the point? Especially in presidential election years. They figure, well, my state's going to go blue anyway, so why should I go out to the polls in an election year? And so then these Democrats at the lower levels, since Republicans aren't voting for the president in an election year, 2016, 2020, they pick up, Democrats at the local state level pick up a lot of seats. The Republicans stay at home saying, I want to waste my vote. Well, you're an idiot, okay? Don't be an idiot. At least maybe make it close enough where you could coalition with some like moderate Democrats and maybe keep some of these laws from getting passed. But as far as like walking out and boycotting and then leaving the state, look, when the Democrats did it in Wisconsin against Governor Walker, I was against it then, and so I'm against it now. It's stupid. Okay, if you're a state senator, then maybe you didn't go out there and do enough campaigning for your colleagues or to get the vote out in Oregon or whatever. That's your problem. But no, you gotta show up. Okay, so no, they have to show up. Sorry, if it was the other way around, like again, just only a few years ago, it was the other way around in Wisconsin, and I was yelling about it then, saying, "Hey, you got to show up. You can't just leave." Period. To the Democrats now are picking up seats. That Democrats just picked up governorship in Wisconsin. Well, that's how it works. You don't like it, you don't leave. You don't like it, you go out to the polls and you vote, and you get your governor elected. You get your state assembly and state senators elected. Same thing in 2018. We didn't go out. Now look at the mess we got. We got the House Democrats running around doing all this BS investigation, basically getting no work done, not doing anything on the immigration issue, not doing anything on the border. I mean, they just barely got that. It took forever just to get this humanitarian aid taken care of so we can send some money down to the border because, these detention centers are overcrowded and everything else, and people are yelling, oh, the children are getting sick. Well, first of all, they were probably sick when they got here, coming from Central America, and then traveling all the way through Mexico, 1,000 miles up the coast. They probably were sick already. Some of these kids are 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, which who takes a 2 or 3 or 4 or 5-year-old on a journey like that through the heart of Mexico? And they have to deal with the cartels and the coyotes and the criminals and everything else. Oh, got a call coming in. Hey, Disabled Vet, how you doing?
Well, hello there, Carl. How are you?
Very good. Very good. So what's on your mind today?
Well, just over here gritting my teeth, and I don't even have any, but just thinking about the elections, and, the criminality that was involved in the 2018 elections is what concerns me. Is I know that we all have to get out and do our vote thing, which I do without question, but I don't know how you defeat a system where they're blatantly allowed to do this ballot stuffing and filling in the ballots in back rooms, and we need 300,000, are losing by 300,000, so we need 305,000 ballots filled out real quick. And it was so obvious and in your face this last time. I don't know how, as a Republican, you beat that system when the Democrats have such a stronghold on it.
Well, I mean, it's not the first time we've had to deal with ballot stuffing and illegal, fraudulent elections. I mean, it's not the first time. It's not going to be the last time. Well, the way you beat it is you get out. You have your poll watchers and things like that. Now, poll watching gets a bad name because every once in a while, you get people. They take poll watching a little too seriously. They show up with their guns and they start trying to intimidate people. But you go out there. You have poll watchers out there. You actually count the people coming in and out of the different stations and stuff. It requires a lot of work. I mean, especially early voting. The early voting in a lot of states are 2 weeks. Like my state's 2 weeks, which I love because I can go when I want. I don't have to wait online. So it requires a lot of work, a lot of organization. Look, if it's like fighting organized crime. Here you go. Okay, remember organized crime in the 20s and the 30s. Okay, the FBI just coming into formation and trying to take on the mafia, and they were way behind the 8 ball. Because organized crime was way organized before the FBI really got his legs underneath them. Because before it was just an investigation arm, they had no arrest authority or anything. So how do you fight organized crime? You get an organized FBI. Okay. How do you fight organized vote fraud? We get organized. Okay. We get loud, we get noisy. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. We show up at these different polling places. We count who's going in, who's going out. Okay, everybody's got a phone. You can't say, oh, you fudged the numbers. No, here's John's phone. He was here for this hour. Here's Ray's phone. He was there for the next 2 hours. Here's Jimmy's phone. He was there. And then here's the evidence. And then you edit it down and do all this work, we all got, look, all of us who have YouTube channels can do this. We can all edit stuff where we can show, you know, you don't have to listen
Right.
to, 12 hours, and stuff. You can say, okay, here's the count. Here's the clock count. Okay, and then like, okay, so we show 5,000 people voted, and then suddenly there's 8,000 ballots cast. Okay, and then you can bring that
Yeah,
to the
but
Federal
there's
Elections Commission.
One small example. Just this last time, just an example I know of right off the top of my head was Matt Gaetz, is my representative here in the Panhandle of Florida. He's one of the good guys, by the way. But,
oh yeah, I like Matt. Matt's a good guy.
He went down to South Florida, and he got actual photographs of these people pulling these unverified ballots and stuffing them into U-Hauls and trunks of cars. And for his services, he was offered to be arrested. So we've got to do something about the rogue cops that are backing this criminality that's going on. And I don't know even how you do that. Because if you have a cop saying, okay, well, if you're standing here, I'm going to arrest you. Well, then what do? Your voice is automatically shut up because you're hauled off to the county.
Yeah. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm going to adjust your audio. Hold on. Okay. All right. Okay. How's that on the caller, Laura?
Well, do I need to do an audio 1, 2, 3
Nope.
test or something to that effect?
Well, you just did it, so that's good. All right. So I think we're good to go.
Good.
Well, what I did,
Okay.
I was putting you on one side of the speaker and me on the other side of the speaker, like in stereo. So if somebody's listening and they only have like a mono, like a left or right or something like that, then probably would be a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave us both on stereo. So then we're good to go. There we go. Yeah, Jervis is saying
Coming to you live in stereo.
You're in stereo. Just don't break out in the song. I don't know. Unless, do you know any good songs?
Well, no. I usually sing in the shower, but,
Well, no, we don't want any video on that. We'll pass.
All right.
But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know how to get around some of this. I mean, just with the cops that are in the pocket of the Democrats. I mean, I have all the respect in the world for the police, but all the time you're getting these videos like that deal with Matt Gaetz. This cop literally saying, if you keep taking pictures, I'm going to arrest you. Well, what the hell is that? How do you get a hold of these cops that are doing that kind of thing, protecting the illegalities that are taking place by the Democrats?
Well, was it a state? I can't remember, because I remember when that went down. Was it a state trooper or like a Dade County sheriff? I can't remember.
I'm not absolutely positive on that because it was dark. You really couldn't see the identifying marks. It was just a cop that came up to him and said, if you keep taking pictures, you will be arrested. And he says, do you know who I am? I'm Representative Matt Gaetz. And he says, oh, I don't really care who you are. You'll be arrested if you keep
I don't care.
pictures.
I don't care who you are. We're just going to arrest you anyway. Oh, that's nice. Oh, jeez.
So, I mean, how do you get around that? This is the points that I'm bringing up because we know we have to fight for it because they're taking down our YouTube channels. They've learned how to unsee stuff. You can actually unsee things now because your view counts get taken away from you. So
right.
That's an amazing thing they've come up with.
Yeah,
But
I've seen that.
We have so much against us, and I don't know how myself to organize to counter that stuff because you have the banditos running around with their badges arresting people that are trying to make a difference or at least threatening to arrest. And then you've got the big media teams that are taking the conservative voice away as quickly as they can get away with it. And, so there's so much against us, and I'm not sure how we would organize as law-abiding citizens to counter such an illegal act.
Well, if you remember now, okay, you got a cop. He's working under the color of authority. He's working under the law. Okay, now, if he's abusing that law, I hate to say it, you sue him. Sorry, I know I'm an attorney. It's like, oh, yeah, attorney, sue the guy. But, yeah, that's what you do. You say it's a violation of civil rights, 42 U.S.C. 1983. Based on the fact my political speech, you're discriminating against me based on my political speech, my political affiliation, and you're suing for a violation of your civil rights, by threatening to arrest, by making the arrest. Now, here's the deal. In order for a case like that, you have to show damages, which means what? You have to be Gandhi. You have to be the Indians. When they walked up to the British remember the movie Gandhi? And they walked up to that British plant,
Yeah.
and they all got beat the shit out of, right? And that changed public opinion around the world. And then the British Empire at that point was on its way out of India. Okay? Same thing. You had to get arrested. Okay? You had to go sit in jail because those are your damages. If you said, hey, this guy said he was going to arrest me and he hurt my feelings and I left, well, that suit's not going anywhere. So Matt has to get arrested. So no, Matt would have had to say, I'm going in there and you're going to have to arrest me to stop me. And if you arrest me, you're in violation of law. Federal law, state law. It's your call. And then he walks. The guy arrests him. Maybe he throws him to the ground. Matt gets his face scuffed up. He puts the cuffs on too tight. He got bruises on his wrists. He sits in jail for 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever. Then he comes out and he files a lawsuit against that cop. Then not just a civil lawsuit, but then potentially criminal charges are brought by. Remember, they're in Florida. That's AG. That's a Republican. What's her name? That really cool lady, isn't it? And then you ask her to prosecute, and she will, right?
Well, how do you?
That's
do
how
that?
You do it.
Honestly, how do you do that? If you're somebody like me, I live about 3 points below the poverty line, and when I hear about people say, "Well, you got to sue them," the first thing I think about is how does somebody like me afford to sue anybody?
Well, generally, those cases are brought on contingency, just like personal injury cases.
Okay.
Right. Now, you got to find somebody who knows something about federal court. Those are tough cases, But still, here's the deal. Like we all know disabled vet, right? So he's out there, he gets arrested. And then we get some news, and we spread it around YouTube. And then it makes it up to, like, maybe Fox News. And then maybe, like, those Covington kids. I mean, that attorney ran after that case, right? He ran after it. And he's a good attorney. He knows his way around the court. This guy's excellent, okay? So, same thing. It gets publicity. And then next thing you know, you're going to have an attorney showing up saying, hey, I'm on your side on this. And I'm going to represent you. Now, I got to pay my bills, so I'm going to do it on a contingency, though. And I'm going to front the costs. And then, boof, off you go. Or say, it's not just disabled vet. It's you and 10 other people. Good people. Don't bring any, weird people. It has to be good people. You want good plaintiffs, okay? You want plaintiffs who look good, who aren't, felons times 10, who aren't outrageous, who aren't yelling all bunch of stupid stuff, who don't have a bunch of Twitter, Facebook, YouTube crazy stuff in their past. You want good plaintiffs. See, the civil rights movement in the 50s was excellent on how they executed. This is what they did. Okay, they had a goal. They had several goals. They developed a strategy to achieve those goals. And then they developed tactics to achieve that strategy. Then they executed perfectly, almost well. You don't execute anything perfectly. There were some mistakes. And then you execute it as perfectly as you can get. For instance, what's the woman who refused to give up her seat on the bus? Whatever. Damn. Anyway, like in Mississippi, Alabama. I can't remember the damn state now. My brain's dying. Anyway, that was a planned operation. That wasn't like she just got on the bus and going on the way to work, and then she's like, I don't want to move. No, she was married to the former president of the NAACP for that area. She got married to him back in the 40s. She was a secretary, and a secretary meaning more than just like she typed letters. She was like the secretary for that local chapter of the NAACP. This was all planned, and she was a good plaintiff, okay? She didn't have a criminal history. She was solid, married, great plaintiff, great person, okay? And they had the whole thing timed up with you had Thurgood Marshall ready to go, waiting, the attorney waiting because they knew she was going to get arrested. So they had everything in place, right? So boom, she gets arrested. Here comes Thurgood Marshall, becomes Supreme Court Justice in the future. And zap, And then here comes the legal. Then here comes the publicity. They had publishers ready to go, getting it on TV, getting on the news, getting the newspapers. All this was done, okay, to get publicity to this issue. And then here comes the boycott. They had the signs already made. Boom, bang, 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 bang. And they had to do that boycott for a year. They fed all the actions in court at the same time. Excellent. That's how you do it, okay? You don't just send disabled. We don't just send you out there and say, here, go get arrested. No, that's stupid. Okay? That's idiotic, okay? You have a plan. You have this whole strategy. Okay, like what's our goal? Our goal is to make sure the elections are fair. Our goal is to make sure that nobody's going to rip us off. Okay, now we can develop a strategy. Okay, well, how many states are we concerned about? Which states? Okay, so then we got to pick the states. Okay, now we say, okay, now we got to pick the tactics on how we're going to achieve that. And the tactics is going to involve several things. One, sending disabled vets to get arrested. Sorry, you're it. But anyway, but don't worry, we're right behind you. Okay?
Yeah. We're outside going, you can do it.
You can do it. Right. So you get arrested, and then we have the lawyer, like, say, me. I got the brief ready to go. I got this. We got bail money for you. Although you got to sit inside for at least a couple of days. Okay, sorry, we can't get you out right away because it got to be like bad. Like the old man comes out, disabled vet. Oh, I was in jail. You know, then we bail you out. So then we have the media campaign ready to go. Okay, at the same time, boom, 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 boom. Okay, and we're doing that in a bunch of different states. Okay, that's how we do it. If you want to see how to do it, look at the African-American civil rights movement of the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. If you want a roadmap, there it is. Okay? There it is. In 20 years, from 1945, when the GIs came back home from World War II, to 1965, to go to 68, if you want. Voting Rights Act, Civil Rights Act, Voting Rights Act, 64. Civil Rights Act, 65. Civil Rights Act of 1968, fair housing. Within 20 years. Okay? And that's before social media. Okay? Cell phones. People calling. Okay? That's how we do it. Just go watch what they did. Michael Steele did the same thing in 2010.
Okay, that's another stick in our spokes with their tube screwing with our. Oh
wait, hold on, disabled vet. Hold on. I have to say thank you, Jervis. Thank you, Rosa Parks. I'm an idiot. I forgot. Thank you very much. Yay. Okay, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that the YouTube changing the subscription requirement to go live, because it would be a lot more effective in these situations if we could be casting while we're going through it instead of recording and taking a chance of them getting the phone and eliminating the recording and all this other stuff.
I agree.
I mean, that was just another little stick in our spokes.
Right. That was, and we talked about this, that was to keep people from broadcasting from Trump rallies. Okay? Right. Where you had 20,000 people all broadcasting up to YouTube showing the Trump rally live. Right. I agree.
Right.
Can't bring your laptop to a Trump rally. I mean, you could, but what a pain in the ass, okay? And your little webcam and everything. Yeah, not fun. No, but I agree.
Right,
that was the point of that.
That's what I got. I just wanted my 2 cents was.
Well,
I appreciate everything you do, man.
Hey, man, right with you. All right, man. Hey, have a good one.
All right, talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, that was the great disabled vet. As always, a great phone call. And if definitely go to his site. Disabled, put a link in the chat to your site, okay? So yeah, you're a moderator, so you can put a link in there. So go ahead and put a link. Oh, Effie. Effie loves America. Black and Irish. Shit, I didn't see you guys. Shonda, hey, didn't see you either. Hey, guys. I said hi to, I think, everybody else already. Let me see. Yeah, I said hi to Jervis. And plus, I thanked him. So, hey, But let's see. Shout out. Oh yeah, definitely. Boom. Definitely. The Negro Manosphere, that's I watched that. That's O'Shea Duke Jack. Oh, hold on, let me turn this down. That's O'Shea Duke Jackson, a bunch of other guys out there. This is MK. Yeah. If you want to see the black man's perspective, black first man's perspective, Negro Manosphere, O'Shea Duke Jackson. I'm actually a moderator on his channel. He made me a moderator. I was also the first white guy ever interviewed on his channel. The first white guy ever in the history of his channel. First white guy. So if you want to go see Black First, Black Man's Perspective, O'Shea Duke Jackson, Information Man. He sent a he was in the top of the chat. Information Man podcast, really good. I'm trying to remember the other guys I follow over there. Damn shit. But anyway, a bunch of other guys I follow over there. If you go to O'Shea's channel, Information Man's channel, you see all the different moderators and stuff. But yeah, I'm actually a moderator on O'Shea's channel. Excellent. But yeah, definitely shout out right back at you guys. So yeah, thanks for coming by for sure, man. Call in show. So if you guys want to call in, anybody want to call in, area code 775-273-8970. If you want to appear on a live video call where you can appear side by side with me, which will look something like this. Let me show you. Let's see. Boom. That's what it'll look like. Side by side. You'll be in the box if you look to my right and on the left of the screen. You're going to call in. You can actually send me an email to ca2jogger@gmail.com. I will send you a link. You hit said link, and then you come on in, and you're on a video call. And it's really cool. A lot of people have done it in the past. I've done panel shows where we've had up to 8 people, 8 guests, and me, total of 9 people, like Brady Bunch style, 3 on top, 3 in the middle, 3 on the bottom. And it's really cool. I haven't done a panel show in a long time, but I've done the video call-ins. I've done the live interviews as well. So if you want to appear on that, you can also appear that way. And let's see. Boom. So you can appear by phone, telephone, or by video call. And if I've sent you an email in the past, we've emailed back and forth, just put in the chat, hey, I sent you an email. Now, I have the windows open up on top here, but I don't have the email window open. So if you want, if you are going to send me an email, put in the chat, hey, I sent you an email. Now, if I don't see it right away, don't get pissed off, because I'm looking at all the different stuff going on here, the different audio levels and the screens, and see what's going on. So if I don't see you in the chat right away, don't go, oh shit, what a dick, he didn't see me in the chat. No, well, yeah, okay, I'm a dick, I'll give you that much. But don't say he's ignoring me, because I'm not. That means I'm just paying attention to everything else that's going on here. Anybody who does live streams will tell you there's a lot going on at once, and it, if you're doing any kind of graphics or anything like that, and call-ins and stuff. There's a lot going on at once. There's like 20 things that have to happen right all at the same time. And if one of those things doesn't happen right, then everything goes down the toilet. It's like on a live stream, like I said the other night, a live stream is about you're only as strong as your weakest link. It's like a chain. Okay, a live stream is like a chain, and every link has to be strong and working at the same time perfectly. So, but yeah, so if I don't see you in the chat right away, don't go, idiot, oh, hey, Shonda, yeah, going good over here for sure, without a doubt. But let's see. Oh, Teresa, first time on Carl's. Teresa, you've been on this. Wait, haven't you been on here before, Teresa? I could have swore you were on here a long time ago. But anyway, hey, Teresa, good seeing you there. And okay, so let's get to our news stories. Let me see. Pull that up here. Where are we? Oh, here, let me show you this real quick. Let me just cut over to this real quick. All right, that's Red Rock Canyon. That's about 40 miles from where I live in the desert. This is a really, really pretty place. I just wanted to show you this. I downloaded this picture just yesterday, as a matter of fact. And so, yeah, that's the one that was up on the screen before we went live with the music playing. And yeah, so this is within 40 miles of us. This is the feds actually own this. It's the parks department. You see a lot of the cops are all fed cops and stuff like that, and it's really cool. So it's Red Rock Canyon. It's just about 40 miles away. Excuse me, from where I live here. I live here in Pahrump, Nevada. So yeah, I just wanted you to see that. All right. Boom. All right, so let me get back to, here we go. We'll get back to our first story talking about immigration, and let's jump over to that. Let me shorten this up a little bit so I'm not zapping all over the picture here. There we go. All right. Okay, so let's get to this story here. Trump says illegal immigrants must be deported. So let's take a look. You probably see me on Act. You know what, Teresa? You're right. That's right. That's where I've seen you, Teresa. I've seen you on Act Truth channel. Okay. Yeah, that picture is really, really nice. You can go to Shutterstock. I think it's Shutterstock. Shutterstock.com. You got to pay for it, but you can get like 5 photos for like $40 or something like that. It's kind of cool. And you can download it. You don't get any copyright strikes. All the music you hear, I get from that too. You download that. A little more expensive, but you don't have to worry about copyright strikes or anything like that. Copyright claims, even you buy the royalty rights for it. But yeah, they have some really nice pictures and footage. The zombie, like if somebody calls in, I don't know who they are, and I have to get everybody to zombie for a couple of minutes. I got that from there as well. So that's cool. But anyway, Trump says illegal immigrants must be deported. Let's take a look. This is from Dave Boyer of the Washington Times from today, Saturday, June 22nd. On the eve of planned federal raids to deport illegal immigrants, President Trump said Saturday that federal authorities are searching for people who should be returned to their home countries. When people come into our country illegally, they will be deported, the president tweeted. He said the people that Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents are planning to pick up beginning on Sunday have already been ordered to be deported. ICE is expected to round up about 2,000 people initially. This means that they have run from the law and run from the courts, the president said. These are people that are supposed to go back to their home country. They broke the law by coming into the country and now by staying. So basically what that means is, okay, so these are people who actually, they came into the country and one of two things happened. We had to let them go. We couldn't hold them. We didn't have enough room for them, right? They claimed asylum or whatever the case is. Maybe back in the day they didn't even claim asylum. They just said, oh, I want to be a U.S. citizen. We said, okay, well, here's your court date. Come back in a year, 6 months, 2 years, whatever it is. And the people they're rounding up this weekend, tomorrow, I think is when they're going to start. They should do it today because they said they're going to do it Sunday. Today would be the day to do it. Catch them all off guard. Aha, gotcha. But anyway, these people who they either went to court, they held a hearing in front of an immigration court judge, made their case. Generally, they have attorneys, either free attorneys or ones they hire. Generally, they hire them. And they went in with their immigration attorney, and then the government was represented by immigration lawyers and stuff. And the judge ruled against them. Said, no, sorry, we don't find your asylum claim to be valid. It doesn't meet the requirements of U.S. law. Yeah, it met the initial requirement just to be able to stay here because it's just a real low standard just to be able to stay here. It's like, in other words, the standard just to stay here is way lower than the standard once you have evidence to actually remain here. So they go to court, they lose. And they say, okay, now you have to leave. Here's your deportation order. And they generally say, and they generally don't, well, they don't take them to custody, generally right there on the spot. They have no place to hold them. So they say, okay, here's your deportation order, show up here, and we'll deport you back to your home country, or you have to leave by this date, or whatever the case is. So then they say, okay, I'll be back in 2 days to be deported. Well, guess what? They don't come back in 2 days to get deported. They leave. Bye, see ya. Then they have another group of people who they're given the court date, and they're supposed to show up on a certain date, and they're not there. And they say, well, because they know they don't even want to go. They don't want to go to court because they might lose. So they don't go, and they say, well, I didn't go, so screw you. Well, no, if you don't go, it's basically like a default. Okay, you lose by default because now you can't present any evidence as to why you should stay because your claim was BS to begin with. So you have to go. So the judge orders the issue, this person has to go. And they know by not showing up. I mean, look, trust me, these people aren't ignorant of the immigration laws. Trust me, these people can cite them probably better than I can. So they don't show up. The order comes down. You have to be deported. So these are the people being picked up. These aren't people like who just snuck. These aren't even people who just snuck across. And we'll get to that number in a second. It's like at a five-year high as far as the people who they call them getaways or gotaways or something like that. These aren't like, oh, they're looking for illegals and they go to a factory and there's a bunch of people working there. Like, oh, we'll get all these people and then see who's illegal, who's not. No, these are people who actually, got caught at the border or surrendered at the border and said, here, I'm claiming asylum. They had a hearing. Either they showed up at the hearing and lost, or they didn't show up on purpose and lost because they lost by default, and then they're ordered to leave. These are those people. So the idea that somebody's yelling and screaming about this, it doesn't make any sense. And we'll get to that in a second as well. So what Kamala Harris is saying and Cory Booker and others are saying about it, AOC, what she's saying about it, it doesn't make any sense because, they've had their due process because they're saying, oh, this is immoral, it's illegal. Well, it's not illegal, and it's definitely not immoral. It's the laws. Laws represent the morality of the people of the country, like we were just talking about with the Republican state senators walking out in Oregon. Sorry, you have to show up. Okay, same argument here. We got to be consistent. We can't say it's okay when the Democrats run things, we split, and when the Republicans and Trump run things, they split. No, you have to show up. So in other words, you're given all the due process. You're supposed to show up for the hearing. You didn't show up for the hearing, or you showed up for the hearing, you lost. You got your due process rights, but now you have to leave. Okay, same thing here. So anyway, leaders in several major cities such as Chicago say they won't. Oh, this is from the Washington Times, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, leaders in several major cities such as Chicago say they won't cooperate with ICE in its effort to deport illegal immigrants. And let me get to this story here. This is from the Washington Examiner. This was from yesterday. This was the actual story about ICE raids targeting migrant families slated to start Sunday in major U.S. cities. So let's kind of get into this story a little more depth. Okay, there we go. Immigration and, let's see, make sure we're good. Okay. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents will reportedly begin a massive operation this Sunday to round up 2,000 families facing deportation. ICE will likely begin the plan known within the agency as the Family Op with pre-dawn raids in major U.S. cities, according to the Washington Post. The raids will target migrant families that have deportation orders. Right. These are people who have orders, not just you're not walking down the street saying, hey, are you an illegal alien? You look like one. We're going to arrest you. No, these are people who have already been assigned a case number, their name, date of birth, the whole 10 yards, and saying, and they either didn't show up for the court hearing or they showed up and they lost. Okay, so they've been afforded due process, which other countries don't necessarily do, but we do. The raids will target migrant families that have deportation orders in as many as 10 cities, including Miami, Los Angeles, Houston, Chicago, and other major immigration hubs. The operation is expected to unfold over several days, beginning Sunday morning. Although discussions over the scale of the operation is still ongoing. Acting Homeland Security Secretary Kevin McClellan has been reportedly advocating for a narrower operation that would look to detain about 150 migrant families that were provided attorneys but absconded. Come on, let's get this done. Trump is firmly determined to move forward with the operation and alluded to a mass roundup in a tweet last week that claimed ICE will begin the process of removing the millions of illegal aliens who have illicitly found their way into the United States. They'll be removed as fast as they come in, he added. And that's Donald Trump. Hey, if you don't follow Donald Trump on Twitter, you should. So follow Donald Trump on Twitter. I do. And you can see all these cool tweets as they come out. And there you go. And then let's take a look at some of the response. We'll go to first AOC. Let's go to Kamala Harris's response first. This is from immigrationreform.com. This is also a really good website. If you guys, let me double check something here. Boom, boom. Yeah, immigrationreform.com. And that's Kamala Harris and her. Let's see. There we go. Well, we get to the title. We'll be doing. There we go. Well, this website's giving me some issues here. I'm trying to get to the title. Well, so be it. All right. This is Kamala Harris's response. Immediately after President Donald Trump announced that Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, will soon start deporting illegal aliens who have final deportation orders, Democratic presidential candidate Senator Kamala Harris published a series of tweets expressing her extreme opposition to the idea of deportation. Now, mind you, this is a former prosecutor, a former DA, and a former attorney general to the state of California who was charged with upholding their laws. She says, and then she even upheld laws that a lot of people have problems with. She upheld marijuana laws. She upheld truancy laws and actually brought the parents in for the kids who were truant. So here's a woman that was actually upholding, simple possession marijuana laws, under the influence marijuana laws. But yet here's a U.S. federal law, U.S. federal law. That makes a lot of sense. Here's the United States law that says if you cross the border, without proper authorization, it's illegal. First time offense is a misdemeanor, and then it goes up from there, ends up as a felony. Further, if you cross and you claim asylum, or you get a court hearing and then you lose the court hearing, then you've had your due process and you're required to leave. That's the law. So this is Kamala Harris now saying, well, I guess we don't need to obey that law or this law or that law. Well, the way you change laws is you go to Congress and you get a majority and you vote to change the law. That represents the will of the people. That's where you find the will of the people, in the ballot box. You don't find it in some back alleys or in some freight elevators or, in a room full of co-conspirators. You find it in the ballot box. Anyway, if anybody can name the movie where that quote came from, I will send you, I think I might have one more. I will send you a free Carl's Opinion YouTube channel hat. Okay, if you can name the movie where that quote comes from. I'll give you a hint. Frederick March said it. I'll give you another hint. Frederick March said it to Burt Lancaster. Okay, that's all the hints I'm going to give. Okay, and again, the line is, where do you find the will of the people? In a back alley, in freight elevators, in a room full of co-conspirators? That's not where you find the will of the people. You find the will of the people at the ballot box. So, if anybody can guess that movie, again, Frederick March talking to Burt Lancaster. Okay, so in the movie. So now, if you're Googling it, just Google Frederick March, Burt Lancaster movie, and you should be able to find it. So, but anyway, you got to tell me what the movie's about also. So, well, you should be able to Google that too. But nonetheless, anyway, according to the California Senator, deportations, this is hilarious, violate our values. No, they don't. The laws that we pass represent the values of the citizenry of the country. That's how laws get passed. People say, hey, I want this law passed. And enough people say, yeah, we want this law passed. A whole bunch of people say, all of us want this law passed, or most of us. And then a bunch of people in the Senate and the House say, hey, a bunch of my constituents say they want this law passed, and they all turn to each other, yeah, mine too. Let's vote on this. And then you get a majority, and then it goes to the White House, and the president looks at it and goes, yeah, this looks like a good law. I'll sign it. Or a good bill, rather. I'll sign it and make it a law. Okay, that's how it gets. That's how your values are represented in your country, through the laws that are passed. And if the laws say illegal immigration is illegal immigration, and you get due process to have your claims heard, and then you either don't show up or you lose, you have to go home, that represents the values of our people. Maybe not the values of Senator Harris, but she's not our people. Senator Harris is not we the people. She is one of we the people, but she is not all of we the people. Okay. What are the Democrats saying? Well, where's the famous line the Democrats are saying now? No one is above the law, unless you're an illegal immigrant. Or Kamala Harris. Then you're above the law. Then it's okay. There you go. So, according to the California Senator, Kamala Harris, who's running for president, who's in South Carolina right now, which I may cover some of that tonight. It all depends if I can get a chance to watch it, because everybody's down there at the South Carolina Democratic Convention, but I'm not going to be able to watch it right now. But anyway, according to the California Senator, deportations violate our values. Let me grab a cigarette. Oh yeah, disabled vet. Disabled as a Carl's hat. Yep. I think I got one more left. So, and if I don't, I'll have some made up anyway. So if you can guess that movie, I don't see anybody with an answer. Yet. Burt Lancaster. Frederick March is telling this to Burt Lancaster in the movie. I'll give you a hint. The scene takes place inside of the Oval Office. Da-da-da. I'll give you another hint. Frederick March is playing the part of the president. Burt Lancaster is playing the part of a 4-star general. Da-da-da. I'll give you another hint. The dates of the movie take place during when the Preakness is run. Da-da-da. There you go. Let's see. All right, so anyway, let's get back to this. All right, okay. So according to this California Senator, deportations violate our values, are a shameful stain on our country, are outrageous, and are deeply reprehensible. Her justification for these statements was that deportations are cruel. Amazing. And that they, quote, unquote, will, quote, push people into the shadows and sow fear and danger in communities across this country, close quote. Anyway, so this journalist goes on to say, perhaps Harris meant for these tweets to show the world how humane, charitable, and thoughtful she is. Instead, however, they demonstrate that Harris fundamentally misunderstands the purpose of deportations and the status of the illegal and criminal aliens who are being deported. Contrary to what Harris and other advocates for illegal aliens claim, ICE does not deport people in order to terrorize vulnerable groups. Neither does ICE, quote-unquote, round people up by ethnic group, as Harris also claimed. Instead, ICE deports people for two main reasons: to uphold the rule of law, which is a reflection of our values of the citizens of this country, and to protect American citizens, the same people whose values are recognized in the rule in the laws that they pass. Without enforcing deportations, our immigration laws are meaningless. Right? We say we have a law, you can't come here, and you get here and you say, oh, we're not going to deport you. It's like, well, then you have no law. Okay? So without enforcing deportations, our immigration laws are meaningless. Illegal aliens, by definition, have broken our nation's immigration laws. Yes. Accordingly, just as we all expect people who break the law to be punished for their actions, there is a repercussion for breaking our nation's immigration laws: deportation. Without that deterrent effect of deportations, our laws would be meaningless and our borders would be in worse shape than they already are. Deportations also keep America safe. A fair study, which is federal, I don't know, it's a good immigration organization. Fair. I always forget the damn acronym, but anyway, fair study found that data from the State Criminal Alien Assistance Program, SCAP, State Criminal Alien Assistance Program, demonstrates that illegal aliens commit crimes at a much higher rate than the rest of the population. And in some states, illegal aliens are on average more than 5 times as likely to be incarcerated. This fact is all too real to people like Uvalde, Texas Mayor Don McLaughlin, who detailed the security concerns of his small border town that is now overrun by illegal aliens, or for Steve Ronbach, whose son was brutally murdered by an illegal alien in Arizona. This is why the majority of deportees are convicted criminals. Again, in fiscal year 2018, 57% of the 250,000 plus illegal aliens that ICE removed were convicted criminals. So 57% of the people removed by ICE in 2018 were convicted criminals. That's a good thing that we're getting rid of them. Even the most hawkish immigration proposals prioritize the deportation of criminal aliens over all other illegal aliens, a fact that, when combined with the United States' unique practice of affording due process, as we talked about earlier, to those who enter illegally, undermines Harris's picture of ICE indiscriminately targeting innocent migrants. The willful ignorance that Harris and other advocates for illegal aliens display toward the true nature of deportation show that they do not care about American citizens. Instead, they only care about trumpeting their virtuosity to the world, often at the expense. Let's see, let me put this up. Often at the expense. Hold on a second, let me just fix something real quick here. There we go. All right, thanks, guys. All right, often at the expense of the people who elected them. Our immigration crisis will never end until the elected representatives in D.C. understand that feeling good about themselves, exactly, cannot take precedence over their oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. I always say people who virtue signal have no virtue. Okay, if you have to virtue signal, it means you have no virtue. Now let's see what AOC has to say here. AOC's clueless concentration camp remarks. There we go. Now here's another thing. In other words, people in this country, when they get arrested for committing a crime, because they always say, oh, the children, oh, the children. If you get committed for, like, robbing somebody at gunpoint and you go to prison and you have a kid at home, guess what? You know, you don't get to see that kid. And that kid, if there's no other family members, probably goes into foster care. Well, you should have thought about that before you broke the law, right? People say, oh, because the defendant will say, well, I got these children. What about my kids? You know, oh, who's going to take care of my kids? And the judge is like, well, you should have thought about it before you broke the law and risk leaving your kids abandoned. And now, guess what? I guess the state will have to take care of them. Well, that's not, well, no, that's the way it works. So nobody claims that, gee, if somebody robs somebody, that they should be able to have their kids with them in prison. Of course not. And nobody says, well, gee, okay, tell you what, since you have children, we're not going to put you in prison. You can stay out and commit more crimes. Well, no, of course not. Nobody's going to say that. That's crazy. But for some reason, when it comes to illegal aliens, they say, oh, well, gee, we're going to have to deport them. Well, what about their children? Well, first of all, if you came here illegally and you brought your young children with you, like Dreamers, DACA, whoever, whatever they call them, and then the parents get deported, but the kids can stay, or you have a baby here who's automatically a U.S. citizen under a total misinterpretation of the 14th Amendment. Sorry, it's not designed for that. And then the parents deported, and they say, "Oh, who's going to take care of the kids?" Oh, got a phone call coming in. Hey, Effie Real, how you doing?
Hi, Mr. Carl.
So, what are you up to
Hey,
today?
Kat. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Sound a little distant. Okay.
Who?
All right. I
Who
didn't
sounds
want to hear
distant?
that. All right.
Do what?
You do. You sound a little distant, a little underwater. So I just
Oh.
wanted to make you hear me.
Oh. You know why? Because I have.
No.
Okay, so I can turn it up. So how's that?
Okay. No, I thought you were doing it. Okay. I can hear you.
You go.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Sorry about that.
No, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Quick question. Maybe two. When it comes to pointing out the things that people running for office do, I've noticed that talking heads in the media, et cetera, and other campaigns, political campaigns, are unwilling to use the word lie or liar. Have you noticed that? And is that a particular legal issue? Like you using that particular word, like you can say factually inaccurate, but you can't say lie?
Well, lie, like to prove somebody lied, committed perjury, okay, you have to prove intent, that they knew what they were saying was false when they said it. Mm-hmm. So lying is like perjury. So you have to prove intent. They knew it was false when they said it, and they said it anyway. So that makes it a lie. Now, if they don't know it's false, like say they're just stupid, right? Or not even stupid, just ignorant, right? They don't know. Mm-hmm. They say something that's wrong. Like I researched an issue, and I read something, and I read it one way, but I read it wrong. I was up late, my eyes are closing, and I thought it said XYZ, but it really said ABC. So I get on air the next day, and I go, hey, XYZ. And then somebody in the chat goes, hey, you're an idiot. It's ABC. It's like, oh. And I look it up, and I go, shit, you're right. I didn't lie because I did not know it was false. I was just sleepy. That's the difference.
Yes, we know the difference in everyday usage of the words between factually inaccurate or mistaken and lie. But I'm saying it seems to me that political campaigns and media heads are avoiding the word altogether, and I think it would be because it opens them up to the liability of being said you committed slander or libel, depending if it's printed or not. Is that accurate?
Well, if they're talking about a public figure, you can generally say they lie.
Well, I do notice that they do avoid it. They start. You can tell they're about to say lie, and then they go, "Well, what's factually inaccurate?"
Well, if it's a private citizen, okay, like else. If you're a public figure, you know this. New York Times versus Sullivan, okay, or Sullivan versus New York Times. Mm-hmm. If you're a public actor, a public figure, you can have a lot of bad things said about you, and you can't sue. Okay, now. Here's like the difference, like with those Covington kids, this is why they're going to win. One, they weren't public actors. Two, the juveniles, so that makes it better. But they weren't public actors. So these people getting on there saying they're racist, they're this, they're that, the whole 10 yards, and the network's doing it. And the Post, Washington Post, New York Times, CNN, MSNBC. So these are private actors. If you say something, you better be damn... What's the word? Okay. You better be on really good ground. Okay. Now, if they say Trump's a racist, that's different. They say these kids are racist, you better be right. Because now truth is an absolute defense. So part of the case is going to be deposing these kids to see if they're racist. Say, well, like say the kid, like the one kid, who's smiling during this, and they take his depo, and he goes, what do you think about Native Americans? And he goes, oh, you mean those drunken Indians from the prairie? Those idiots? And you go, yeah, what do you think about them? And then he goes on and on and on and on and on. It's like, well, truth is an absolute defense. This guy really is a racist, really hates American Indians. Okay, so, the defense wins. Okay. Now, if that kid says that at a depo, sure, then the attorney representing him sucks because obviously before the depo you talk to your client and stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, I was just noticing more in the sense of public figures because we're talking about ad campaigns versus other campaigns and or media people talking about people who are running for office or are in office. And I just noticed there's sort of an absence of the word lie and liar in, not in the people, not in the rhetoric of the people who are just everyday people who are, making bumper stickers, Bush lied, people died, et cetera. But I mean, in the, as far as the people who operate in official capacity, they seem to avoid the word. They'll even say BS before they say lie, So
Right.
I just wondered if there was a particular reason, if that opens them up to some kind of, legal repercussion. And the other side of that I was wondering is also the word hypocrisy, because you see a lot of everyday people using the word hypocrite and hypocrisy, but you don't too much see it done in media or campaign rhetoric. And, and one of the things you're talking a lot about right now is hypocrisy. For example, under Barack Obama's term, 3.1 million illegals were deported.
Right.
And you didn't hear these same people going on and on and on about human rights and how dare, we deport 3.1 million illegals. I mean, I don't think we heard a thing about it. Did you hear anything about it?
It was better than that. Not only did we not hear anything about it, you heard people like Schumer saying it was a great thing. The Huffington Post talking about how the evils of illegal immigration. Remember a HuffPost story that talked about 80% of Honduran women who cross the border are raped. That was written by the Huffington Post during the Obama administration. So when Obama was, wanting to keep illegal immigrants out, everybody's like, yeah, great idea. And then Trump comes along and says, we got to keep illegal immigrants out. And they say, oh, bad idea. So, yeah, Trump derangement syndrome.
So if Biden has anything to say about the policy of, deporting people who have already been, in court, told to leave. Mm-hmm. If Biden has anything to say about that, all you have to do is put the graphic 3.1 million deported under Obama Biden.
I know that's tough to say. It was tough to say in 2008.
Stamp across his face.
Right.
So.
Well, not to mention.
It would just be, hypocrisy.
Yeah, not to mention, I haven't seen any, but I guarantee you there was some speeches Joe Biden gave on illegal immigration back, not just when he was VP, but probably before, I guess. And I'm sure somebody's getting ready to hit him on the head with that. But he really hasn't talked about illegal immigration.
It would be beautiful in a debate. It would be beautiful in a debate. It would be like if one of them said something and then they were around, a Trump or, any lower tier debate between people running for, senator or representative. And one of them, came out with that rhetoric. Oh, it's just such a human rights violation to deport illegals. And they go, well, that's not what you said under Obama. 3.1 million illegals deported. I mean, that just seems to me to be a giant club, that just, why aren't they using it?
It's going to work. Yeah, I agree. Totally. Yeah. Because, and the, like I've said on the show, I think going back a month ago, these people running for president in the Democratic primary, they're not running for 2028 or 2024. Most of them are running for the leaders are running for president now, like Buttigieg, Castro. See who else? But those two out of the top tier, they're running for VP. Mm-hmm. Okay, Booker running for VP.
Yeah.
But Harris
and they're
Warren,
not getting any pushback when they say these nonsense things because they're not saying it in a room full of people who are opposing them. They're saying it to the media who love them or the little tiny room full of sycophants that they can get to show up at their events, which aren't many.
Right.
Which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
So they don't have the pushback,
Right. They're just hoping like Castro. Okay, here's the deal. This is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Castro to catch a little fire. I'd like to see that, and I'll tell you why.
Really?
Right. Watch this. Because, Biden, Sanders, Warren, one of those three is probably going to get the nomination. Okay. So then they're white people. Well, it's identity politics. You got to put a person of color on there. Well, the next pick obviously would be Kamala Harris, right? You go for her. You got a woman. Even if Warren could probably go with Buttigieg, maybe Booker, but say it's Biden or Sanders. Okay. So but
But
now
didn't
say Castro.
Harrison Booker spent the weekend attacking Biden, so
Well,
he may
yeah,
not be so happy to have either.
Jim Clyburn just came in and settled that and took care of that issue. Because at first, Jim Clyburn, who was a real fighter in a real civil rights movement, who did some really good work back in the day, and him and John Lewis, they both came out to defend Biden. Okay, so pretty much they told Booker, shut the fuck up. So then Biden and Booker got on a phone call, and they made amends, and supposedly at the South Democratic Convention, where John Lewis is hosting it, I think John Lewis, yeah. He, they're all getting along. Okay. Because Lewis and Clyburn said, and then Clyburn came out, well, if Booker's okay, I'm okay. Well, Booker was okay because Clyburn told him to be okay. Okay, he shut up. Okay. So anyway, that took care of that. I was expecting that. I was waiting for one of the adults in the room who actually went through the real civil rights movement, who really had to drink out of a different water fountain. One of those guys who probably got stuff thrown at them or hit in the head.
Started popping up all over the place. But it had to be a Democrat because it was. There were others that popped up, but they weren't Democrats. It had to be a Democrat to tell them. That's the thing. They won't listen to any Republicans that have been through real life. They only listen to a Democrat. So and a Democrat who has some authority still. That's the other thing, because they only care about what how it affects them personally, because they're all full of crap. Oh, lying, BS, all the words we were saying. But on that, crap. Now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah. Did you see how, I think it was MSNBC, they claimed that those two senators that Biden worked with back in the day were Republicans.
Right, I saw that. They had to come back and correct it. Sorry, we made a mistake.
No pushback,
they were actually Democrats. Sorry. Yeah.
They were Democrats, like all of them were.
All of them, yeah. And there was, and Dinesh D'Souza showed, like everybody says, well, gee, in the 60s, it was a flip. The racist Democrats became Republicans, and then Dinesh D'Souza in his movie showed that.
And that's the solution for reparations. The reparations that the Democrats are claiming to want to give to people, here's the solution. And no offense to any PSCs listening to me, because, personally, I don't care. Everybody's mixed anyway, so maybe we'll all get 1%. So whatever. The point is,
we'll all get a check.
We'll all get a cut. But the point is, it should come out of the DNC's operating budget. That's where it should come from, because the only people that owned slaves in America were Democrats.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's the organization.
Party.
It's not the United States of America.
Right.
It's not the Republican Party. It's not the United States of America. It's not white people. It is 100%. The organization is the Democrat Party. They owe the money. Let them pay it. Let them promise reparations on the campaign field.
Okay.
And
now
they don't have to win to pay.
Right.
They just make it a percentage of their operating budget every year.
There you go. Now, Doris Kearns Goodwin, in her book Lincoln, which got made into the movie Lincoln, in the part of the book they showed in the movie was the passing of the 13th Amendment. I don't know if you saw the movie. If you didn't, I recommend it.
No. You know me. I don't watch movies.
Okay. The reason why it's good to watch this movie, I'll tell you why it's good to watch this movie. Okay, so the 13th Amendment, 1864, 1865. They're trying to pass it.
Yeah.
Now, none of the southern states are representative. None of the southern states are represented in the House of Representatives. Okay, so you have Democrats and Republicans, but they're just the northern states. Okay, and who was fighting against the 13th Amendment? The one that said slavery.
The Democrats in the northern states. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It was the Democrats still fighting against it. And it wasn't Southerners.
Yes.
They weren't there. They weren't part of it. So
it was an economic thing. It was part of the Democrats knew they had all the deals with the Democrats in the southern states. It was still economics, because they benefited off of that, the way that their economic system was set up, and they were 100% in bed.
No. The South exporting cheap cotton to England to produce clothing, linens, etc., and then to sell to us did not benefit the Democrats in their districts in the Northeast. It didn't. It's just the opposite. They were competing with their own constituents who were making the big mill factories of the Northeast, the famous ones, the ones that first got started with water back in the early 1800s and all that stuff. No, their own constituents.
Not the constituents. Yeah,
Well,
not the constituents.
even the money.
I'm talking about the people in charge.
No. The people in charge in the Northeast, the money people, were the people making the clothes, the factory owners, the owners, the money.
Yes.
The South, the big thing with the South was exporting cheap cotton to Britain. Okay?
Right.
The same way Britain used India to get cheap cotton, right? Pay the Indians next to nothing. It's a raw material. Send it up to Manchester. They make clothing. They sell it back to the Indians, costing them 50 times more, 20 times more than it costs for the cotton. And then the best thing is, this will sound familiar. Well, now the Indians can't afford to pay that because they sold you the cotton for $1 or a pound, say a pound, right? And then you sell them clothes for like, 4 pounds. Well, they're 3 pounds short. Well, what happens? Well, then the Bank of England loans the Indians, gives them credit to make the difference up to buy the manufactured goods. Now the Indians are in debt. That might sound familiar. United States via China. Okay, and that's what the British Empire was doing with India, and the British Empire was doing with us. And the South was going along because a few aristocrats were making money on the deal. Most of the people in the South weren't.
Right.
So it was not in the financial interest of the Northeastern
Slavery
Democrats.
Everybody.
It was not in the financial interest of the Northeastern Democrats to allow slavery to go forward. It was only in their interest because they were a bunch of racists. That's why it was in their interest.
Well, no,
and they didn't want black
mind,
people
Carl,
living in their
Carl,
districts.
Yes, they did have the racism all across the board. Yes, but what I'm saying is, and I'm not saying slavery, the actual slavery and the cotton industry was what produced the money either. I'm saying there were deals because it had to do with other industries. There were things that were produced in the North that were being shipped to the South that they didn't want cut off. For example, they didn't want embargoes on ice that was cut out of the the lakes up north. There were other industries. So that's where the lobbyists were. The lobbyists were like, listen, I got ice to ship to the South. And during the Civil War, they got cut off and then those guys became pirates, black marketing that stuff.
That's why the South lost. They couldn't get a cold drink.
Why? And then some doctor invented air conditioning, and we were all good after that.
Right. There you go. But that makes sense.
Yay,
but anyway,
the
nice thing about that movie was that it showed it wasn't just Southerners that were in favor of slavery. It was Democrats in the North.
No, 100%. Yeah,
but see, a lot of people don't know that. I wish more people watched that movie.
They all had an intertwined interest. It didn't have to do with making money off the cotton industry. It had to do with their deals of open trade routes to the South. And those lobbyists were like, I don't want half the country cut off because they're my biggest ice customers, for example.
Oh.
And, Civil War messed up all their businesses.
Well, I understand that, but still, why would you be voting against slavery? I mean, why would you voting in favor of? Why would you? If you're a Northeastern Democrat, why are you voting in favor of slavery?
Because that's what the constituents in the South want. Because that's what the people, the customers in the South wanted.
Well, that's pretty short-sighted, considering farm production in the South.
So that there's no
farm production in the South quadrupled.
They don't want a civil war.
Well, I know, but the Civil War is already in place. I mean, it's not 1865. It hasn't ended yet. It's almost over, and they're still voting in favor of slavery.
Yeah.
So. I mean, pretty short-sighted because farm production in the South doubled, tripled, quadrupled after the Civil War because all that land got freed up for
It's about
farming.
Humans not wanting to make a ruckus, status quo. That's
no, but the ruckus was already there. I mean, they were in it.
Politicians always doing.
Yeah, no.
Like, what are the Congress doing now? We have a literal crisis at the border, and what is their status quo right now? Do nothing, do nothing, do nothing, do nothing.
Well,
do nothing. Pretend it's not,
Well, no, the status quo is they want open borders. They can't get open borders passed.
Sure.
Right, but they can do it the back door, basically saying denying money to house people, so you have to release them sooner. Like that 20-day thing doesn't even
Yeah.
exist anymore because they have to release them way sooner than
Mm-hmm.
20 days anyway. So the way like this last bill that just is becoming law now, what
Yeah.
Democrats were able to get to take out of the bill funding for ICE to have more detention facilities in the interior of the country, which means they can't hold people as long. So they got to release them. So they're looking they just want open borders without passing an open border law.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And they're completely, they think that they're being clever when they come up with these slogans about human rights and nonsense like that. When they're, when we can whip out, hey, 3.1 million deported under Obama, what's up with that?
Right.
So they're not clever. It is absolutely about getting illegal votes. And then when you throw in the driver's licenses for illegals, it's the circle's complete. There's no
right, because with the
you
driver's
can't
license,
even pretend anymore.
right, what the driver's license can do is that even though it should say not for federal use and all this stuff. Still, though, if there's somebody at a grocery store registering people to vote, and they walk up and the guy shows them a driver's license, and they don't really look, and they don't care anyway, You get certain people at grocery stores that are Democrats, certain people are Republicans, and both sides throw the other ballots away if they check the wrong box. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, bye.
Sure.
That's why you don't do that. You don't register at a grocery store unless you know the guy. Well, first of all, if you're that lazy, you have to register at a grocery store. I don't know what to tell you. But anyway.
I didn't even know you could register in a grocery store.
Well, they have those booths. They have those booths set up, outside. Register to vote, and we'll turn your ballot in, that kind of crap. And if they're right,
I don't
leading
go
people.
outside. That's where the sun is.
Oh, you're like a vampire?
Give me a cold room full of servers any day. I don't want to go out there. It's like sun and mosquitoes and people and stuff.
Oh, Jesus. But anyway.
But thanks for taking my call.
All right. Don't want to go outside. All right, Miss Effie. Oh, wait. I always want to call you Effie Real because that's the name that shows up on my phone.
That's fine. That's my name on a lot of things. So
okay, cool. Effie Real, also known as.
Michelle told me to change my name because she couldn't pronounce it, so she was saying change it to something easier, and so I did.
Effie Loves America. All right, young lady. Have a great day.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And that was the great Effie Loves America, also known as Effie Real, with her great call-in as usual. All right, so call-in number 775-273-8970. So if you call in and I don't recognize your name, don't get like insulted if I show the zombie for a couple of minutes. Don't feel bad. They'll say, "Oh, what's the deal, man? I got the zombie." No. It's okay. It's just I just gotta make sure it's not a troll. Once I realize you're not a troll, you come on air. But everybody gets to see the zombie. Like here comes Tony Patriot. I know Tony. He doesn't get the zombie. Hey, Tony's Carl. How you doing?
Hey, Carl. How you doing, man?
Doing all right. What are you up to today?
Oh, nothing much. I just wanted to bring you some breaking news. Did you just see that tweet from Donald Trump?
No. What did it say?
It said, at Democrats' request, we're going to hold off on the illegal immigration roundup tomorrow.
Oh, Jesus.
Along those lines.
Man. Wow.
I couldn't believe it.
Unbelievable.
I swear, I just saw it.
Well, he must have some kind of a deal he's working on, So the thing about Trump, he plays 4D chess. Now, he can't always let us in on what it is. He can't say, okay, Tony, Carl, everybody out there on the good YouTube channels, here's what I'm really doing. I'm just going to do this feint with this mass deportation tomorrow, and I'm just trying to scare the Democrats into getting something from them, but don't tell them. And then, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right. So,
right.
The guy is playing, they always say 3D chess. I call it, with him, 4D chess. Okay? So we're not always part of what he's doing because we can't be, which is fine. So he's got something going on. There's something he's doing because he wouldn't have just pulled back on this if he wasn't getting something out of it. And it won't be even like tomorrow, like they announce something, or the day after. It'll just kind of be maybe next week. and we'll say,
Right.
"Oh, what's the?" Then we'll be like, "How did that happen?" Well, okay, we could put two and two together and figure out how it happened. Now he can't even really go out and brag about it too much. He can say, "Oh, I bluffed him, and then I got this," because then he can't do that again. He can't bluff again, right? So,
Right.
it's like when you play poker, you never let the other guy know that you were just bluffing when he folds, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, you just
right.
yeah. So same thing. So look, the one thing, we know about him is the illegal immigration issue. He wants that more than anything. He wants to take care of that more than anything, right?
Right.
I mean, he ran on it. I mean, he stuck his neck way out on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he needs to show he's doing something for sure. Especially with the election coming up, I think. But we'll see. Like you said, it's
well, no,
I don't take every little thing. I look at the overall game. So. But there's also something I want to tell you. I heard on Paloma for Trump. I don't know if you follow her. She's on Facebook.
No, who? Which
anyway, she's her name's Paloma for Trump. So she's a dual citizen. She's a Mexican U.S. citizen.
Okay, all right.
She lives in Tijuana and America, and she's for Trump. But she was translating basically the Hispanic radio channel down there in South America or South United States, basically telling the families to hide their kids with neighbors on Sunday, to try to leave your kids in America if they come get you, and that Trump is the devil, basically. He's the evil man. Stick together, you guys have rights. This is what the person was saying on the radio.
On her. Oh, she wasn't saying it. The person on the radio was saying it.
No, right. Yeah, she was just translating it from the radio.
Gotcha.
Right. So I just wanted to give you that little bit of information too.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, he is doing everything he can on immigration. We still loved our Constitution, right? We're not going to throw it away for one issue. Okay. We don't do that. It's the Constitution. Okay. We have separation of powers. We have, Article 1, the Congress, 2, the President, 3, the judiciary. And he followed. That's what I was saying on one of my shows, was that Democrats saying he's lawless, he's going to destroy the Constitution, he's going to end democracy, he's not going to leave if he loses, he's not going to leave in 2024 when he's supposed to. I said, look, this guy obeys the law. He'll be doing something, a U.S. District Court judge says stop, he stops, files his appeal,
right,
and goes forward. So the guy obeys the law. He obeys the Constitution.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So, he has to work within that framework. And I'm not going to throw the Constitution away because I'm upset about illegal immigration. Sorry. I'm not doing it. So, and anybody who's not supporting him.
I agree totally.
Yeah, no, I know you do, yeah. But, I mean, anybody who's not supporting Trump, like, what's her name? That idiot. The woman. What's her name? What's her? Ann Coulter. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, he's not doing enough. He should just, shred up the Constitution and do something. It's like, what is she, an idiot? I mean, you don't not support the guy.
Think she is.
Yeah. Screw her. Idiot. So. But all right. Hey, what time are you going on tonight? We'll give a shout out for what time you're going on. What time are you going on?
I should be going on around 8.
8 o'clock? Your time?
Yeah.
Okay. So
8 o'clock Eastern. So 5 o'clock your time.
Right. Tony Patriot on 8 p.m. Eastern tonight, 5 p.m. Pacific time. Check it out. Always good stuff. Yeah, the thing I like about your show is, like I was saying earlier, you always research stuff, and I like that.
Right.
That's good.
I appreciate that.
Oh, totally, man.
I spend the time to do it, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, put a link. You're a moderator out there. You're one of my moderators, aren't you?
Yeah. No, I don't think I am.
Well, fuck.
I haven't been there in a while because you've been coming on late a lot. So.
Let me see. I know you did. I know you talked. Oh, there you are. Okay, hold on. There you go. Hold on. Okay, you just made your moderator, so now you can put a link to your show on the site. So put a link to your show on the site, to your YouTube channel rather, and then Tony Patriot tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time. Check it out. Yeah, go ahead and throw a link in there, okay?
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, man. Have a good one.
I'll talk to you again soon. All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Up. Jervis already did it, but there you go. Jervis already got it. But anyway, Tony, go ahead and do it. That's funny. So cool. Oh, Laura. Yeah. Laura. Well, Laura. Yeah. Well, she's a moderator. Yeah, Laura, put a link. Put a link to your site. Yeah. So, oh, she said subscribe. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. But yeah, Tony, the thing about Tony, and if you like this show, you like, the research, the deep dive into certain issues and stuff like that, not all, you like that kind of the in-depth analysis and commentary, you definitely like Tony's show. Same thing. I mean, he's got his notes out there. He looks up a lot of articles. Like he just gave us that breaking news. From Donald Trump's tweet. That's him too. You can watch his show. You get a really good show. Great job. So good deal. Anyway, let's see. We're gonna cover just one more thing on this, even though Trump just did that tweet. Now, and again, like I was saying with Tony, and I know Tony agrees. Look, Trump's doing everything he can do on illegal immigration. Now, a lot of us, and when I say us, I don't mean like us specifically, but us Republicans didn't go out to vote in 2018. Okay, we lost the House. Now I know off your election, the party in power in the White House is supposed to lose seats in the Congress, but it doesn't have to happen that way. Okay, we could have won seats in the House. We won seats in the Senate. Trump went out and campaigned for certain senators, but he can't do everything. He can't go out to 435 different, House congressional districts and campaign for everybody. I mean, he's one guy. Now, he did his job in 2018. He went to those battleground states for senators, Georgia, Florida, Missouri. Okay, he picked up seats there. In Tennessee, that's Marsha Blackburn. Okay, Missouri, that's, what's his name? The guy who was just on Tucker last night, in fact. I can't remember his name. The Missouri senator who beat, I can't remember her name. Damn. All right. I'm getting old. Sorry, guys. But anyway, so he did his job in 2018. He flew around the country, had these big rallies in these states for these people. Went to Texas, the big rally in Houston, remember? Huge rally in Houston. He did 2 rallies in Tennessee for Blackburn. So did at least 1, if not 2 rallies in Georgia. I did 1, if not 2 rallies in Florida for the governor. And also for the senator running as well, and they both won. So he did his job. A lot of us didn't do our job. A lot of people didn't go out to vote, and we lost the House. And now you can't get anything done. There's no way, okay? So 2020, get out to vote, and you got to vote both the House and the Senate races, okay? Otherwise, we're going nowhere fast. So that's just the way it is. So if you don't get to vote in 2020, well, you're just stupid. And if you're upset with Trump that he didn't get the wall done, we didn't do this, well, then what's your alternative? You're going to vote for the Democrat? Who's going to get nothing done on immigration? And by getting nothing done, that means they're leaving the door open. That's what it means. It means, like, again, this whole not funding, okay, like in this last bill, the Democrats, they had to do a compromise, again, because the Democrats control the House. They had to get money for Customs Border Patrol for get more beds and more teams and more food and everything else down on the border, okay? But the Democrats were able to get out of the bill more money for ICE for their detention facilities inside the interior of the country. And by doing that, that means basically ICE can't hold on to people that long. They have to release them into the community. So basically they're getting open borders without passing an open border law, which they know they never get through. So they're just doing it through the back door. So if you want this to change, get out in 2020. You got to vote for the president and all the down ticket people, both in the House, the Senate, and your state. We were talking about this earlier with Oregon. If you live in Oregon or you live in a blue state, you say, oh, I'm not going to go out and vote in 2020 because I'm throwing my vote away. Well, you're not, because you can vote for your state representatives. Okay, they're passing sanctuary city laws, sanctuary state laws in those states. Now, if you want to change how that works, then you got to get out to vote. So if you're living in a blue state, you have to go out and vote. It's not a wasted vote. Okay, You get to vote for congressional seats, your U.S. senator. You also get to vote for your state assembly, state senator seats, or state house, state senate seats, however they name it in your particular state. You got to get out there. Boom. All right, so make sure you do that. Okay, you can't just all put it on Trump's shoulders. And if you don't vote for Trump because he didn't get one thing done you wanted done, then don't be a baby and shut up and go out and vote. Okay, enough's enough. But anyway, let's get over to this story here. We'll get back to the AOC clueless, and then we'll get into some Joe Biden stuff. That'll be fun. All right, so AOC, hold on, there we go. AOC clueless concentration camp remarks. Yeah, she compared the Border Patrol detention facilities to concentration camps. So, freshman Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has become famous and often infamous for her frequent gaffes and displays of her ignorance. Let's see. Earlier this week, the New York Democrat stuck her foot in her mouth once again, this time comparing migrant detention centers on the southern border to concentration camps run by an authoritarian and fascist presidency. And many on the left, including politicians and journalists, agreed with the sentiment, yet both the comments and the sentiment are sheer and utter nonsense. Migrant detention centers, again, this was by, I apologize, immigrationreform.com. If you haven't signed up to their website, I would definitely recommend it, so please do so, immigrationreform.com. Okay. Let's see. And many on the left, including politicians and journalists, agreed with the sentiment, yet both the comments and the sentiment are sheer and utter nonsense. Migrant detention centers near the U.S.-Mexico border may not be five-star resorts. That is not their purpose. Instead, their objective is to detain foreign nationals attempting to enter the United States unlawfully, comparing them to concentration camps run by the 20th century's most brutal and murderous totalitarian regimes, the German National Socialists, Nazis, and the Soviet communists, betrays a woeful ignorance of both history and current political reality. This prompted one Polish parliamentarian guy in Poland, who actually knows them about concentration camps, to actually invite AOC to Poland to learn about real concentration camps, an invitation she should definitely take up. The Bolsheviks began establishing concentration camps for their political enemies soon after the seizing power in Russia. The Soviet concentration camp system, known as the Gulag, reached its bloody apogee under Stalin during the 1930s and 40s, when it enslaved millions, killing many in the process. The German National Socialists also established their own camps once Hitler gained power in Germany in 1933 and expanded them as they conquered most of Europe. At its pinnacle, the Third Reich concentration camp empire, death camps in particular, worked overtime to exterminate the continent's Jews and other groups the National Socialists deemed subhuman, such as Gypsies and Slavs, people from Czechoslovakia, Bulgaria, Hungary, those kind of places. The German and communist concentration camps had many common features, including forced labor and horrific conditions, causing many inmates to simply be worked to death. Starvation rations, brutal beatings, arbitrary punishments, cruel torture. Plenty of books have been written on, and documentary films made on the National Socialist and Soviet concentration camps, that there is no excuse for public officials to be this ignorant. So basically, you know, there's one way to avoid being placed into a detention facility at the border. Don't come across the border. Okay, there's one way to make sure your kids don't end up in a detention facility at the border. Don't bring your kids. Don't send them unaccompanied. Okay, the Jews in Europe and the Slavs and the Gypsies and anybody else who was put into a concentration camp in Europe didn't have a choice. Okay, but we're not going across to Mexico and Honduras, grabbing people and throwing them into detention facilities. They're coming here knowing damn well they're going to be put into a detention facility, knowing damn well their kids are going to be placed into detention facilities, and they're coming anyway. Okay, and they're not coming because they need asylum. That's nonsense. Okay, they're coming because they've been told, come here, you're going to get free stuff. And this is a big change in immigration from just 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, where you had a lot of single men coming over, getting jobs, then bringing their families over legally or illegally, or through whatever loopholes in the law. But at least they came here and got a job first. But now you have whole families coming over. There's no hope the husband can go off and get a job while he's trying to take care of his family. We're trying to house an entire family, provide food, shelter, clothing to these people. Big drain on social services, the whole 10 yards. And they're being told the reason why they're coming here, the attraction is not for jobs. The attraction they're coming across here is for free stuff. Totally different immigrant that's coming over. Totally different illegal immigrant that's coming over. So this guy went on to write, my own uncle is a Polish parliamentarian writing. My own uncle, a Polish Catholic, was captured by the German occupation forces in a dragnet to feed the Third Reich's insatiable demand for slave labor. You recall the exhaustion, hunger, and diseases that accompanied the life at Auschwitz. As an Auschwitz inmate on a daily basis, as well as the frequent beatings and deaths of fellow inmates. Once he was brutally beaten for stealing a rotten onion from a dumpster near the German officers' barracks. Given such treatment, it was a miracle that he barely survived the German camps. Unlike the totalitarian camps, which were filled with innocent people that the National Socialist or Soviet regimes arbitrarily considered enemies. Hold on, we got here. Let's close this. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. There is a very simple and easy way. Here we go. There's a very simple and easy way to avoid being held in a migrant detention center. Don't try to sneak into the U.S. illegally. We are not invading Central America and rounding up its inhabitants. Rather, the U.S. is simply attempting to protect its borders like any other sovereign nation. Moreover, the men and women at the Department of Homeland Security at the southern border are doing their best while caring for the detained migrants as humanely as possible, given the critical situation. As Border Patrol Chief Carla Provost stated during the House Homeland Security Subcommittee hearing on Thursday, she was extremely offended by AOC's remarks. She added, "I'm calling agents who are bringing toys in for children and buying them with their personal money. Agents are bringing in clothes, they're feeding babies, they're going above and beyond day in and day out to try to care for these individuals to the best of their ability, who, by the way, are getting better care from us as being here illegally as they were compared to the way the kind of care they were getting in their own country, which they live in legally. Our elected representatives should know better. The reason for the humanitarian crisis at the southern border is that a growing wave of illegal migration from Central America, consisting of many unaccompanied children in real or alleged family units, is overwhelming our resources. We are at a breaking point, and the situation in our overcrowded detention centers is merely the predictable outcome of the obstructionist policies of AOC and other ideologically kindred politicians who are sabotaging attempts to properly fund border security and discourage mass illegal migration. Agreed. So let's get back here. All right, so let's see. Boom. And a picture of Red Rock Canyon again. Again, this is about 40 miles from where I live. Really beautiful, the desert. I'll try to get another picture of Pahrump actually the next time I come on. But anyway, we're going to do some Joe Biden stuff here. Let me just cut across. Calling number is 775-273-8970. And again, if you want to appear in a VMix video call, then, hey, Amy, how you doing there? Good seeing you. So if you want to appear in a VMix video call side by side with yours truly and end up looking like this, if you will, then you can appear side by side, or looking like this, if you will, and like that. We can appear side by side and even keep a nice little background in the background. We can do that. So, hey, your call, whatever you want to do. So if you do want to appear by a VMix video call, just say in the chat, hey, I want to appear. If you haven't emailed me in the past, then send me an email. Let me know in the chat you did. If you have emailed me in the past, just say, hey, I emailed you in the past, and shoot me an email with the link, and then I'll shoot you an email with the link, and we'll be good to go. And then you can appear side by side, or two or three of you want to appear at the same time, that's fine too. All right, so let's get to some Joe Biden trash here. Let's take a look. All right. Let's see, where are we here? We'll get to that in a second. Okay. Oh, well, one more thing I wanted to cover on this illegal immigration story real quick. Let me get to that. Boom. All right. This is important from Washington Times. I believe this was yesterday. Illegal immigrant gotaways, that's what they refer to them, gotaways at 5-year high as border agents pulled from patrol duties. So let's take a look at this story real quick before we get over to Joe Biden. All right. So illegal immigrant gotaways at 5-year high as border agents pulled from patrol duties. And this is actually from Thursday, June 20th by Stephen Dinan in the Washington Times. The Border Patrol has documented more than 100,000 immigrants who they know managed to illegally sneak past them and get into the interior of the country, the agency's chief told Congress on Thursday, saying it's the most in 5 years. Known as, quote-unquote, gotaways, The migrants are ones who agents detect, but know they didn't manage to stop from crossing the border. This high level of gotaways is a direct result of agents being reassigned away from the front line to provide humanitarian support to the unprecedented numbers of individuals and families in custody. Chief Carla Provost told the House Homeland Security Committee. The panel was meeting, hold on a sec. There we go. The panel was meeting to hear how President Trump's orders to send the National Guard and active duty troops to the border is playing out. Chief Provost said they've been a major boost, suggesting the gotaway numbers might have been worse without the troops there to fill gaps left where her agents get pulled away to do babysitting duties, and that's what they're doing, babysitting duties for the families for the families and for the unaccompanied children. That support gives my agents that support as my agents are being pulled away to deal with the humanitarian crisis is key to us having situational awareness on the border, she said. The troops whom the president first deployed in the run-up to last year's elections are performing support tasks, monitoring cameras and scopes, and providing air support for border authorities, though they are not supposed to engage in actual policing. One example last month, National Guard troops in Texas spotted a group of migrants rafting across the Rio Grande and reported to Border Patrol agents. Agents, with the help of local police, corralled the group whose members had paid up to $10,000 to be smuggled into the U.S. And all this money is going to the drug cartels. Again, the coyotes, they all work for the drug cartels. If you're doing any business on the border, on the Mexican side, you're working for the drug cartels. Because if you're not, you're getting killed, period. But Mr. Trump's affinity for using the troops has angered Democrats and some Republicans, of course, the rhinos, who love cheap labor, like the Romneys, et cetera, and the Grassleys, et cetera, who say they're being distracted from the national security missions when they're being used on the border. I don't know what's more of a national security issue. We have to send troops overseas to the Middle East, or we have to send troops to our own border to protect our own homeland. It's called Homeland Security for a reason. House Homeland Security Chairman Bernie Thompson was particularly irked by the decision to put U.S. troops to paint a 1 mile section of the border wall, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, officials say the Border Patrol is dealing with two different, in many ways, competing threats. One is the massive surge of migrant children and families. They arrive hoping to be caught, looking to take advantage of lax U.S. policies. The numbers are so overwhelming that agents struggle to process and transport them. The other threat is single adult migrants and drug smuggling. Chief Provost said as much as 60% of the agent's time in some regions is taken up by transporting, feeding, or doing hospital watch for the families and children. She said that pulls them off their other line watch duties. And there you go. All right, back to Red Rock. Okay, let me find the Joe Biden stories. The Joe Biden cases are interesting because, and I said this, a month ago. It's like, these Democrats, and I was talking to Effie about this. These Democrats running like Warren, Sanders, Harris, are not running for 2028. Okay, these people are running to be elected president now, especially, Warren and Sanders. They know this is their last hurrah. They're both older. That's it. Harris maybe has another shot later on in her career, but if she doesn't even make a good showing here, and she seems kind of like the impatient kind of person. So she again, her whole career is about moving up the ladder really fast. I mean, she moved up the ladder really fast. Went from, law school to this one commission seat, then went to running for DA with very little experience. Won in, I forget what county it was, right there in Oakland. Won for DA, then ran pretty soon thereafter for Attorney General, won that spot. It was 2 terms Attorney General. Now ran for U.S. Senate, won rather, and now she's on her way looking to run for president. So she's in a rush. She wants to move fast. I admire that as long as she has the skills to try to navigate her way through a primary. Doesn't seem like she has her legs underneath her yet as far as how to deal with crowds in places where they're not always friendly or deal with real competition, where she doesn't have Willie Brown and the big Democratic machine backing her. She's out there on her own. She doesn't have the big Democratic machine backing her out there. I mean, you got Biden grabbing a lot of the money, Sanders grabbing a lot of the money, Warren grabbing a lot of the money, and she's competing against those guys. And she's kind of like learning, gee, this is not as easy as when I ran in California and I had all the money and power behind me. Well, now she doesn't have all the money and power behind her. So now it's time to see if she can live up to what it takes to win the Democratic nominee. I do not know. I predicted she would win, but every time I watch her speak, it's like the more I see of her, the more I think she's not as bright as I thought she was. I didn't follow. I don't follow California politics. I don't live there, so maybe if I had, I would probably know more about it. I think Information Man. He lives in California. He's followed her career. He had a lot of things to say about her that weren't all very positive, actually. So, but he's followed her career for a long time. He's been involved with the politics there in California for a long time. He knows way more about her than I do. You could probably check out, if you go to his site, Information Man's site, and you type in Kamala Harris, I know he did a pretty good video. He did a live stream, like a panel discussion on it, on Kamala Harris, and they got some really good detail on it. That's probably worth checking out if you want to learn more. I caught like the mid to end part of it myself, but that's probably worth checking out for sure. So let's see here. Let's get to Joseph Biden. Let's find him real quick. All right, give me a second. Just pull these stories up real quick. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, I know what we'll do. We'll play some music. We'll play some music. Here we go. In the meantime, while I'm looking for these stories, I mean, I got them up. I just got to bring them down onto the screen. So while we're doing that, we'll play some music. And then this time, remind me to turn it off. Okay? So here we go. Here's some music, guys. All right. There I am. I'm back. Okay. Hope you enjoyed the music. All right. So here's the first story. It's from the Washington Examiner. I'm going to go through a couple of different stories how the Democrats are beating up on Joe Biden. I knew it was a matter of time. Everybody said, "Oh, we're going to stay unified." Well, that lasted 30 days. Literally 30 days. It's like, no, he's number one. They want to win. They got to knock him out, and they're already doing it. You heard the whole thing with Booker and the whole thing. He worked with a segregationist. But here's a little more detail on some of these stories. This is from the Washington Examiner from yesterday, as a matter of fact. So let's take a look. All right. Political founder trashes Biden in op-ed. Grandpa Simpson is running for president. I don't think that's very flattering. I think he's trying to say Biden's a little bit too old for the job. He doesn't think he can go the distance. Let's take a look. Okay. The founding editor of Politico, far left website, criticized Democratic presidential frontrunner Joe Biden in a Thursday op-ed. Of Biden's recent campaign gaffes, John F. Harris wrote, "Joe Biden is facing an urgent question. What exactly is the rationale for his presidential candidacy?" Citing Biden's refusal to apologize for recent comments in which he cited his work with segregationist senators as an example of the Senate's bygone civility, Harris wrote, "The hope is that voters will embrace Biden as a kind of American Winston Churchill. The past 24 hours raised, not for the first time, a more painful possibility. Grandpa Simpson is running for president." The primary issue with Biden's presidential bid, according to Harris, again, this is the founder of Politico, according to Harris, is that he seems to be out of touch with modern Democrats. Their concern, he writes, is that Biden sees contemporary America through a distorting haze of nostalgia, that his values and assumptions were shaped by the last generation or even the one before that, that after many years in public life, he still lacks the self-awareness or self-discipline to wonder whether modern voters will find his vagrant ruminations about the past as interesting or relevant as he does. Referring to Biden's tendency to change his mind on policies, Harris wrote, Biden, during 48 years on the national scene, has never had an especially strong ideological profile. He's been a reasonably centrist Democrat for all of them. Biden, who was recently persuaded to withdraw his support for the Hyde Amendment, which we covered, how he was in favor of the Hyde Amendment preventing the United States taxpayers from having to pay for abortions, he now jumped ship within 2 days after he got called out on it. Has held anti-abortion positions as recently as 2006. Harris noted Biden's past tendencies towards saying controversial things, the evidence of the past couple of days, redundant to evidence amassed over several decades, is that if voters are going to embrace Biden's character, they must also embrace or overlook his penchant for cringeworthy remark. You realize that often the most cringe remarks will flirt with racial themes. Later in the article, Harris recalled a comment made by Biden ahead of his nomination to the vice presidency, saying it was in January of 2007. I remember this, in which Biden offered what he meant as a compliment to Barack Obama by saying, I got to try to say it the way Biden would say it. You got the first mainstream African-American who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice-looking guy. That's a storybook, man. I remember when Biden said that. I was cringing just hearing him say it. It was like, oh, God, he just stuck his foot in his mouth. Anyway, a particular critical moment of the article in reference to Biden's comment was tweeted later by Harris. Biden's remarks were like a family dinner in which some aging relative who would never think themselves as racist holds forth after too much sherry. Aunt Beulah, I understand your point, but some of those terms you use really aren't acceptable. So anyway, that's one story there. And then here's another one. He needs an intervention inside Joe Biden's chaotic campaign. This is by Joseph Simonson. There you go. Again, I like the Washington Examiner, but all these pop-up commercials drive me nuts. But anyway, Joe Biden's 2 days of off-message musing about his long-ago work with some of the most notorious segregations of their era has staffers calling for an intervention. Joe Biden needs an intervention. His own staffers are saying that. That's bad. That's not. If staffers, that means some of these staffers leaked this story. Okay, that's not good. They're leaking this, and they're saying, "Hey, this guy's got some issues here." That's people inside his own campaign. That's not good. That means there's some major disagreements going on inside the campaign, and it's too early for that to be happening. You got to wait at least a couple of months. But this is already happening now. That's crazy. So the former vice president's reminiscences about collaborating on legislation with Senators James O. Eastland of Mississippi and Herman Talmadge of Georgia has campaign veterans wondering whether he has what it takes to win the right to challenge President Trump in 2020. In other words, can this guy actually take on Trump? If this guy's going to start saying stupid shit like this to piss off his base, who's going to show up for him in 2020? While he is viewed as a front runner and leads by 16.9% in the Real Clear Politics poll average, his own staff views him as intensely vulnerable, not least to himself. Biden's light schedule, off-the-cuff ramblings, lateness to important events, and seeming inability to heed the advice of his aides create an impression of directionless campaign. Just below the surface are fears of another campaign crash like Biden's first presidential effort for the 1988 nomination, which ended amid plagiarism charges in a wave of unflattering stories. 20 years later, when he ran in 2008, Biden didn't even make it past the Iowa caucus, finishing with under 1% behind not just Democratic stars such as Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, but also John Edwards and Bill Richardson. Excuse me a second, let me grab some water. And a cigarette. That'll help. All right. A Biden staffer, excuse me, A Biden staffer told the Washington Examiner the candidate lacks senior figures inside his campaign who have the authority to tell him what to do. Okay, that's a problem. So in other words, he's got a bunch of yes people around him. He doesn't have anybody senior who can tell him what to do, and he'll listen because obviously he thinks he knows everything. Sound familiar? Hillary Clinton. Now, here's the thing about Barack Obama when he ran his campaign in 2008 and 2012. He had some really intelligent people around him. I mean, these guys were smart campaigners. You can't take anything away from that. Well, you know what? He listened to these guys, okay? And because these guys are like, hey, this is what you got to do. This is how you got to do it. This is what you got to avoid saying. So don't say it. And you can say this, but don't say that. And, well, he listened, and you saw the results. Now, Biden sounds like Hillary Clinton. He knows everything. Hey, I've run campaigns before. I know how to win. Well, winning in Delaware for him, it's a small town, Wilmington, where the bulk of the population lives, the money lives, rather. That's not hard to do. And the two campaigns he did run in 1988 and 2008 were both disasters. So if he says, I know what I'm doing, I've run campaigns. Well, yeah, you run these little dinky state, Delaware, really small statewide campaign where you get shoot in every time anyway. And anytime you did a national campaign, you lost horribly. But anyway, so a Biden staffer told the Washington Examiner the candidate lacks senior figures inside his campaign who have the authority to tell him what to do. Former Obama administration National Security Advisor Thomas Donilon, Biden's longtime Senate Chief of Staff Ted Kaufman, and lobbyist Steve Ricchetti have all worked with and known Biden for decades. While all offer external advice, in other words, they're not on the campaign, the staffer said the campaign lacked a powerful figure on the inside. Instead, Biden, 76, who has hired Obama veterans such as Greg Schultz, his campaign manager, and Kate Bedingfield, communications director, who are almost 4 decades younger than him. Again, he didn't pick the guys who ran the campaign. He just picked, people who worked on Obama's campaign. Democratic strategists fret that his Philadelphia-based campaign lacks coherence. Yeah. Uncertainty about Biden's position in the race extends to Obama alumni as well, with one former 2012 campaign official telling the Washington Examiner that someone needs to get to Biden and make a real attempt to change the man. Well, how do you do that without appearing to be phony? That's not going to sell either. Someone needs to give him an intervention. The source said, I have vivid memories of 2008 when he ran and he lost in Iowa, when Biden ended up in 4th in the Iowa caucuses and quickly dropped out of that year's Democratic primary. It's like a time travel machine. It's like, God, this feels like 2008 all over again. Party pros and alum from the administration of Biden's former boss, President Barack Obama, are also watching warily. Quote, there are definitely knives out for Biden among the Democratic National Committee and those who worked in the Obama White House, added the source. When he's been on the road, Biden's team has tried disciplining a candidate confidently embarking on his third presidential run. Despite these efforts, Biden recently turned up an hour late for a 9 a.m. diner visit in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, in Manchester, New Hampshire, according to Lou D'Alessandro, a state senator and local Democratic kingmaker. The former vice president was busy. Now check this out. This is why he was an hour late. The former vice president was busy finishing up watching that day's Morning Joe on MSNBC, according to a staffer of his campaign. Wow. So you got to finish watching Morning Joe. You make yourself an hour late to a campaign event. Ultimately, the candidate is making the decisions. You got all these advisors, but Biden is the one who is calling the shots on strategy. Democratic strategist Jeff Hewitt, who has consulted for Democratic campaigns throughout the country, told the Washington Examiner. When I look at the Biden campaign, I see an old school strategy. Whether that's because of his age, I don't know. Biden's missteps have been all the more conspicuous due to his startlingly light campaign schedule. He's held less than half Biden's campaign schedule, less than half as many public campaign events as rivals such as Sanders or even Warren. And the reason for that is because of his health. He's not healthy. You can see it in his face. You can see it when he goes out on the trail. He's not healthy. He's got the same problem Hillary Clinton has, so they can't put him out there all the time. And when they do, he looks old. He looks tired. Mark Dice did a video on him the other day, and he goes, look, I didn't edit this. I didn't slow it down or anything. He was doing an interview with Andrea Mitchell from MSNBC, and he had his head down like he was asleep. And he kind of was looking at his notes, but he wasn't. His eyes were fully closed. His eyes weren't pointed down. They were fully closed. And then she said something, and then he just went on some rant about Trump. It wasn't even responsive to the question. Now, Mitchell let him off the hook because it's Andrea Mitchell, MSNBC, and they all want Biden to win. But if that had been anybody else, if that had been Trump falling asleep, Mitchell would have called him out on it right there on the spot to bring attention to it, saying, sir, were you sleeping? Are you tired? Are you too old for this? No, but Mitchell gave him a pass. Well, that's only going to last for so long. And it's not lasting at all right now for people on the left in the Democratic primary. They're not waiting. They're going to come after him. And they're coming after him. So earlier this month, over a 24-hour period, Biden reversed his longstanding support of the Hyde Amendment, a rule enacted by Congress and the president annually since 1976 that bars the use of federal funds to pay for abortions. But even after that effort was bungled totally, according to a Biden staffer who spoke with the Washington Examiner, his campaign had loaded a 7-minute-long apology on not initially supporting federal funding for abortions into a teleprompter, saying, hey, we got this great speech you can give that will explain your position so it doesn't seem like you just did it off the top of your head. Because you got a lot of criticism for that, even on CNN saying, why did he change his mind? Why did he flip-flop? Give us an intelligent reason, and nobody could. So then, so they prepared this 7-minute-long apology on a teleprompter. He's going to video record it, load it up to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, whatever, and put it out there. Get covered by the networks and everything else. Instead, Biden offered brief remarks to the Democratic National Committee gala dinner in Atlanta a day after he told staffers to reiterate his support for the provision. He wouldn't do it. Just getting across the finish line is Biden's strategy. I mean, just get the nomination. Someone like Biden is taking time between events because he needs political healing time after the gaps like the Hyde Amendment. South Carolina Democratic strategist Antoine Seawright said, no, that's not true. He needs more time because he can't handle all the events. He cannot handle going to all these events. His health is not allowing him to do it. He looks like he appears to be heavily medicated, probably some kind of anti-dementia medication, and that knocks him on his ass. And if he doesn't take the medication, then he's going to go and sound like an idiot. But everyone is moving at rapid speed, but Biden's people are doing this at their speed. You want to be methodical and strategic. No, don't give this guy an out. If he could do all these campaign stops, he would be. He just isn't because he can't. And trust me, it's only going to get worse. In some ways, Biden's long experience on the campaign trail could end up damaging his candidacy. While he's more than familiar with the key venues and diners in early primary states such as Iowa and New Hampshire, his self-assured, even entitled attitude, like I'm supposed to get this, like, again, Hillary Clinton, has frustrated staffers who find their suggestions overruled. My impression is that Biden looked at the Democratic field and expected his competitors to be scrapping at each other and not aiming their fire at him. Why? I don't know. He thought all these other candidates were auditioning for VP. That's a sense of entitlement. Sam Waltz, a Delaware-based political consultant who has known the Bidens for 40 years, told the Washington Examiner. The typical thing is that Joe hasn't accounted for a new generation. Biden's struggle to adjust to a new Democratic Party was most apparent this week, and of course we already covered that. Let's see what the next story is. Let's see. I'll do a quick story here on Hunter Biden. This story is going to heat up here in a little bit here. Hunter Biden named his father of baby doe in paternity suit by Arkansas woman. And it's not just so much that he had sex with some lady, got her pregnant. It's everything else about this guy going around, and it also has to do with the Biden's intervention in Ukraine to get the prosecutor fired who was investigating his son, how his son got this great job in the Ukraine because he was a cokehead and he had to leave the military, and then Biden gets him on the board of directors of this Ukrainian company where he knows nothing about anything. They pay him a ton of money. He's getting ready to get prosecuted by the Ukrainian government. Biden goes over there saying, hey, look, if you want some of our U.S. aid, because he was the key man in the Ukraine for Obama, if you want our U.S. aid, you better get rid of that prosecutor, or I'm taking this U.S. aid back with me, which wasn't part of the deal. But anyway, so they fired the Ukrainian prosecutor who was going after his son Hunter, and then suddenly he goes, okay, you can have the aid now. Here's your food and sandwiches, whatever. So anyway, let's check this story out. An Arkansas woman has named Joe Biden's son, Hunter, in a paternity suit alleging that he is the father of a 10-month-old baby and demanding child support. Well, first of all, this story should never got out there to begin with. If Hunter knew he had a kid and he knows that dad's running for president, then maybe you take care of this ahead of time. Maybe you go in, you get the two attorneys in the room, you do a stipulation, you agree to a child support number, you agree to paternity, you stipulate to it, and then you file the paperwork under seal. You can request under seal because it's a paternity case, but they're closed cases anyway because you're not married. They don't want to put the kid's name out there. You do it under seal, you get her a child support check, and then nobody has to hear about it. I guess that didn't happen. I guess Joe Biden's son, for a reason, said, oh, screw you, I ain't paying nothing, get lost. Well, and then this is what happens. Anyway, London Alexis Roberts, 28. This when you hear about this woman, she's not just some you know floozy waitress somewhere. This woman's got a life and education and a career. So she was probably trying to talk to this guy, and say, look, let's just stipulate to something. Let's get a child support number, and we'll all go away, and fine. And he's probably like, screw you. Do you know who I am? I'm Hunter Biden, man. My dad's Joe Biden. Screw you. Well, and then here comes the lawsuit. Anyway, London Alexis Roberts, 28, filed the suit in an Arkansas court on May 28th, according to the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Roberts is petitioning to compel Hunter Biden, 49, to claim the child as his father and provide health care and other financial support. Last month, the former vice president's son married his second wife, South African native Melissa Cohen, who's 32. 17-year difference. Well, there you go. She really does not want this to be a media spectacle. This is a quote from the attorney. She really does not want this to be a media spectacle. She does not want this to affect Joe Biden's campaign. She just wants the baby to get financial support from the baby's father. Robert's attorney, Clayton Lancaster, said, yeah, no kidding. Again, this could have been done. Trust me, I guarantee they were trying to work this out behind closed doors. Hunter was being a dick. He said, I'm Hunter Biden. I'm like my dad. I know everything, and screw you. Hunter Biden already has three daughters, Naomi, 24, Finnegan, 19, and Maisie, 18. Who's actually a friend of Sasha Obama's, who graduated from the same elite, high-priced private school in Washington, D.C., the Sidwell Friends School in D.C. Notice President Obama likes public schools so much and hates choice, but he sent his own kid to a private school. There you go. The Arkansas petition says Roberts conceived while she was in a relationship with Hunter Biden. The child, identified in the court papers as Baby Doe, was born in August of 2018. The document did not reveal how the couple met, how long they dated, or any other details about the filing. Roberts and Hunter Biden's relationship happened while Biden dated Haley Biden. Now check this. This is a weird part of this story. Roberts, okay, the female here, and Hunter Biden's relationship happened while Biden was dating Haley Biden, who is the widow of his brother Beau. So his brother Beau dies, and then he starts dating the widow, Beau's former wife, his own brother's former wife, and Beau is now dead. He starts dating her. That's weird. I don't know about you, but it's weird. Anyway, she and Hunter began dating as he was getting divorced from his first wife, Kathleen Boole, to whom he was married for 24 years. During divorce proceedings, Hunter Biden's first wife alleged that he spent money extravagantly on his own interests, including drugs, alcohol, prostitutes, strip clubs, and gifts for women with whom he has sexual relations, while leaving the family with no funds to pay legitimate bills. He was listed as a customer of the adultery site Ashley Madison when it was hacked in 2015. Hunter Biden has repeatedly been linked to drugs over the years. He was discharged from the Navy Reserve, in which he had briefly been a public affairs officer, in 2014 after he tested positive for cocaine. He had been allowed to join the Navy after receiving a waiver for his age and another for a youthful drug offense. Let's see. Last month, it was revealed that a police report said Hunter returned a rental car in Arizona that contained a cocaine pipe days before the 2016 presidential election. In addition to a small white and brown pipe approximately 3 to 4 inches long, an officer also found a small Ziploc bag with a white powdery substance. How many times have I read that in police reports? With a white powdery substance inside, all sitting on the passenger seat. Officials determined that the pipe was used to smoke cocaine. London Roberts is from Batesville, Arkansas. She graduated from Southside Batesville High School, where she was an all-conference, all-state basketball player and an all-state softball player. In 2010, she held the Arkansas state record for single-season free throw percentages. Pretty good. She was a McDonald's All-American nominee and played for the Arkansas Mavericks AAU team, helping lead them to a state championship and a fifth-place finish in the 2008 AAU National Championships. Roberts attended Western Illinois University. Her coach, Leslie Crane, said in a profile on the college website, London is a great ball handler. That's funny, though. Sorry, but that is. London is a great ball handler and can finish at the glass or with a jump shot. She is very savvy on the floor and has a lot of game experience. In Arkansas, teams play 30 more games per year. She then transferred to Arkansas State University, graduating from Arkansas State in 2014 with a degree in interdisciplinary studies. Little else is known about Roberts. The social media profiles have apparently been taken down. She's the daughter of Kim and Rob, also enjoys hunting and shooting skeet. Her father owns a gun shop in Batesville, Arkansas. Roberts was living in Washington, D.C. 2 years ago, studying crime scene investigation in graduate school and working with the FBI, according to a family member's Facebook post. Public records show she was living in D.C. and Virginia from 2015 to 2018, the period when her baby would have been conceived. So that story is going to be getting a little bit of interest, I'm sure. Let's see here. All right, so let's see. Let's see. Let's cover this story real quick. Hey, there we go. Red and proud. Communist Party USA celebrates centenary in Chicago, yelling "Hands off Venezuela" and "Long live Marxism-Leninism." Popular rally cries at the gathering. Yay! Communism. Yes, it's done so many great things for communism. If you want 100 million people killed, become a communist and join in that effort. Yay! Hundreds of millions of people killed during the 20th century under the rule of communism. Yay! Idiots. All of them. Idiots. Oh, my God. Anyway, Chicago. From the Washington Times. With an early morning tour of the Haymarket and a series of rousing speeches, the Communist Party of the USA kicked off its 3-day annual conference here Friday with a mix of vigor and age and vodka. I added the vodka part. The party celebrates 100 years operating in America this September, and while it remains a fringe element on the political landscape, many of its cherished goals are increasingly finding a warm embrace from national Democrats, a development that has left the Reds here invigorated. They're like, well, I guess it's a funny thing. It's like they couldn't get them to come out publicly and join the Communist Party, right? But instead, the Democrats are espousing all their views and their policies. That one guy down in Kansas, AOC, I mean, all of them. These guys they all get big applause from the Communist Party. I covered that one guy, was it from Kansas or Missouri? I think it was from Kansas. And he's just this left-wing guy. He's just totally, communists love him. He's all about communism and doesn't come out and say, yay, communism, but he gets a lot of support from the communists in his state. Again, call-in number is 775-273-8970. Let me grab some more water real quick. Yeah, sorry, guys. I'm in the desert. It's really dry. I'm in Pahrump, Nevada. It's really dry out here today and windy. So the wind is making it even drier. Hold on. All righty. Well, let's see if that helps. Anyway, let's see. Still, while there were plenty of younger faces, 2/3 of the nearly 300 attendees are older than 45, according to party officials. And some elements of the conference, from the hand-painted watercolors to the old Soviet lapel pins on sale in the lobby, from the acoustic guitar sing-alongs to the endless reference to Angela Davis, had the whiff of antiquity. Well, here's the deal. Young people who are left don't need to join the Communist Party. They can just join the Democratic Party now. I mean, the Democrats have become the new Communist Party, and it gives you a face of, well, I'm not a communist, I'm just a Democrat. Well, yeah, but if you're espousing all their ideas, censoring speech and locking people up and, everything else, and for redistribution of wealth, which is funny because to redistribute wealth, it had to be distributed to the rich people to begin with. It wasn't distributed to them. They earned it. Okay. So it's basically just stealing at that point. If they earned it, if the government didn't distribute the wealth to them, but they just earned it, and then you take it from them by force, that's called stealing. That's called theft. Robbery, money, theft by use of force and fear. If you don't pay us, we'll lock you up or kill you. So, yeah. But if you believe in all those things, well, you don't have to join the communists anymore. You have to join the Democrats. The true believers, however, could still get the crowd fired up. For example, Liz Rowley, who addressed, and here's a picture of Biden, at the Communist Party meeting. No, I'm just kidding. That wasn't him at the Communist Party meeting. That's just an ad. Oh, no. Was he there or was he? Okay. For example, Liz Rowley, who addressed the main body as a representative of the Canadian Communists, had the crowd loudly yelling his approval when she gave a shout out to North Korea and hollered, "We say hands off Venezuela." Yes, because it's working out so good in Venezuela where people are eating food out of the trash, killing their pets for food, going to the zoos and killing the animals, eating those for food, killing pigeons on the street, all full of diseases, and fleeing the country in huge numbers. I forgot what the numbers were. I think 20% of the country has already left. It's like the last person to leave turned the lights out, but you don't have to worry about turning the lights out because the electricity grid is so far screwed up. The lights are already out already. But the afternoon's most rapturous welcome was reserved for Alex Grando, a representative of the Youth Communists of Venezuela. Alex Granado, a representative of the Youth Communists of Venezuela. In heavily accented English, Mr. Granado excoriated the forces of imperialism led by the U.S. and those ignorant of the alleged benefits of the Bolivarian, there we go, Simon Bolivar, okay, Bolivarian revolution leaders, Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro, have brought to that once rich nation. Reports from Caracas, the Venezuelan capital, have painted a different picture, a grim picture of collapsing society in which people are forced to scrounge for gutter scraps to survive. This tableau is, in fact, the very complex crisis of capitalism in Mr. Granado's telling. Mr. Granado left the stage saying the U.S. and other outside forces have threatened the freedom and stability of the Bolivarian experiment, an accusation that was greeted with what the old USR transcripts would call prolonged and stormy applause. Pepe Lozano, let's see, who else was there? Let's see, big lie. Let's see. Well, anyway, call-in number 775-273-8970. So everybody wants to call in. Anything you want to discuss, open topic. Any of the topics we discussed already. Whatever floats your boat. Let's see. All right, let me get back over here. Boom. Boom. Anyway, let's take a look to see if any other stories I want to cover right now. Let's see. Oh, while you wait, while I go through this, we'll play some more music. Here we go. Please stand by while we get some additional stories up. Thank you for joining Carl's Opinion. This is Carl. Hey. All right, and we're back. So let's get to the next story here. All right, celebrities advertise abortion in young girls. This is a pretty disgusting story. This is from the Washington Examiner. This was published yesterday, so let's take a look at it. All right. Even as states pass, let me just double check something here. Okay. Even as states pass radical pro-abortion bills, such as the recent one in Illinois, which removes all protections for preborn children, celebrities continue to promote abortion as a social good. Members of the entertainment industry have fought against life-affirming bills such as those in Georgia and Alabama by encouraging sex strikes and threatening to boycott states that pass restrictions on abortion. They seem to find it unfathomable that preborn human beings should be valued and saved. Famous women who consider themselves role models for little girls such as Selena Gomez and Ariana Grande have been vocal about their support for abortion, continuing to push the idea on young girls. It's really gross. That abortion is heavily intertwined with the right to achieve success. No, how about, like, make the guy wear a condom or use birth control, or I don't know, wait till you get married to I don't know, to have babies. Go figure. Convincing them that the humanity of others must be denied, right? That's the whole thing. Convincing them that the humanity of others must be denied if they're to find happiness. Right. So to find happiness for yourself, you have to kill other people. There you go. Gomez, a former Disney Channel actress and singer, has been open about her views on abortion, claiming to stand for women's bodily autonomy by recently donating a 1973 necklace to commemorate Roe versus Wade. The necklace was obviously not just Gomez's way of expressing her abortion advocacy, but to inspire her fans into action. The necklace was designed by Sophie Ratner Jewelry, a brand that has pledged to donate 30% of their proceeds to Physicians for Reproductive Health, an effort Gomez clearly intends to support by encouraging her fans to buy their product. Well, who are Physicians for Reproductive Health? Well, it's not reproductive health, it's destructive health. Okay, killing a baby is not reproducing it. It's killing it. Okay. Physicians for Reproductive Health is closely aligned with the very controversial abortion figures. Serving as the chairman of the board for the pro-abortion group, for 3 years, Dr. Willie Parker was forced to resign after pro-choice feminist Candace Russell accused him of sexual assault. When she heard herself referred to as one of Willie's girls, Russell realized it was likely she was not the only woman Parker had abused. Another abortionist associated with the organization Gomez is endorsing is Dr. Leroy Carhart, a former board member of Physicians for Reproductive Health and a late-term abortionist with a reputation for severely injuring his patients. Carhart botched an abortion so horribly on a young teen with Down syndrome, Christine Gilbert, that the procedure caused her to get sepsis. Christine bled from every orifice before she died. Other abortionists associated with the Physicians for Reproductive Health have been caught operating unsafe clinics with multiple health violations and harvesting the aborted parts of patients' babies without the patient's permission. Sadly, Gomez is not the only female celebrity looking to influence her young fans. I mean, just think about that for a second. I mean, here's these Hollywood elite people. Yeah, I agree, Laura. Reproductive health, right? They always wrap up evil with pretty paper and bows. I know. It's just crazy. Let's see. Let me look at some of the chats here. Effie, am I the only one who feels like they need a shower after reading the daily news? Yeah, no kidding. I mean, it's like these people are insane out there. I mean, hey, Matt, how you doing there? Good seeing you there. Play some CCR. There you go. Credence Clearwater. Matt, I will see about doing that. It's just you always got to watch out for the copyright claim. So I will see how expensive it is for some CCR. And if I can afford it, Matt, I will play it. And then when I play it, you better be on the site because I'll say, where's Matt? It's like, I was busy. And then I'll say, damn, I paid all this money for this music. And I played it for Matt, and Matt's not even here to hear it. And I'll be like, like I hold my hand out, like this. And I say, hey, shake my hand. And then you slap it. And then I'm like, I'm insulted. But anyway, I'll take a look to see how much that costs to actually get the royalty rights to be able to play on. If I can afford it, Matt, I'll definitely find some CCR for you, no doubt. And let's see. Oh, Matt says down here, FES, but more because I came into work on my day off, so I slept in and didn't get a shower this morning. Yeah, it's always got to take that shower. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Da-da. All right. But, okay, so let's continue on with Ms. Gomez and her friends in Hollywood supporting these murderers, also known as abortionists, also known as assholes, also known as losers, okay, just disgusting individuals. Anyway, sadly, Gomez is not the only female celebrity looking to influence her young fans into supporting abortion. It's like, if you support it, fine, but that's your problem. Okay, you want to burn in hell, go ahead. But you don't have to go out and get other people to burn in hell with you. I don't know, maybe she wants a company. I don't know. Sadly, Gomez is not the only female celebrity looking to influence her young fans in supporting abortion, despite the danger it presents to women. No kidding. In an effort to protest a recent abortion law in Georgia, Grande donated the proceeds of her concert to Planned Parenthood. Oh, there you go. an amount that was close to $250,000. Planned Parenthood's president, Lena Wen, delivered a personal expression of gratitude to Grande, thanking her for helping to defend access, again, here we go, to reproductive health care. It's not reproductive health care, it's destructive health care. You're killing a baby. Killing a baby. Killing a baby. Okay? There. Jesus. But the reproductive care Planned Parenthood provides that Grande is defending includes routinely attempting to cover up medical emergencies and placing women in danger. Right. Because they don't want that narrative. They don't want the narrative out there that there are a lot of medical emergencies that happen during this procedure. And placing women in danger with little regard for their safety. There are even cases where Planned Parenthood has aided sexual abusers, has aided sexual abusers in covering up their crimes against women. Yeah, because a lot of times the way it used to be was that if a child came in that was underage to get an abortion, they would have to keep the child, what they would call a fetus, because in case they ever found out who committed this act of sex or rape on this woman, they would have the DNA from the baby to use as proof as to the identity of the perpetrator. Well, what's happening with Planned Parenthood, as you know, they're selling off, baby parts and babies, to make money on it. So those babies aren't there anymore, and neither is the DNA. If these celebrities truly want to help women, they should endorse groups that offer material resources and provide counseling, rendering abortion unnecessary. Organizations such as CareNet empower women and men in their pregnancy decisions, continuing to support them even after the child is born. Exactly. Helping to provide women with the emotional and physical care they need to have their babies is a cause that celebrities like Gomez and Grande could easily champion in front of their fans. Instead, they have unfortunately opted to model a pro-abortion mindset for girls who admire them. It's like, really. So there you go. But anyway, anybody wants to call in or for any other topics of discussion they wish to talk about or anything, if you want me to find it. Somebody put something in there earlier they wanted me to talk about. Oh, yeah, we did talk about that. But is there any other topics you want me to discuss or find or anything like that, let me know. Or if you want to call in, 775-273-8970, or you want to appear by VMix video call, that's fine. Otherwise, been on for a little over 2.5 hours. I want to thank everybody who's been in the chat today. And I want to thank Effie and Disabled Vet for calling in, and also Tony Patriot for calling in as well. And again, Tony's going on tonight, and Disabled will be on sometime. And hopefully, Disabled, you put your link to your description in here. Yeah, if I make you a moderator, Jervis, there you go. If I make you a moderator, one of the reasons why I make you a moderator is that if you have a site, you can put a link to the description on your site. So that means I know you and I trust you. And when I say I trust you, it means that I'm supporting a site that if I go on to watch, I'm not going to watch and go, oh my God, I'm affiliated with this. Some nutcase. Charles Manson comes back from the grave and puts together a YouTube channel. I go, yeah, Charles Manson, put a link on my site and we'll all go watch it. And then I turn it on, there's Helter Skelter. And I'm like, oh shit. No, man, I don't support that. It's like, but yeah, if I make you a moderator and you got a channel, then definitely, feel free to put a link in there and stuff. Do beans belong in chili? There's a topic worth discussing. Yes, beans belong in chili. I know. I lived in Texas, and they say in Texas you're not supposed to have beans in your chili. Screw you. I like beans, and beans are good for you, and they're healthy. And, hey, I'm a 53-year-old man. You know what I'm talking about. Beans are good. They help you go to the bathroom. And, one of the biggest dangers to men, in their 50s is prostate cancer. And one of the ways you get prostate cancer is by buildup of pressure from your colon, because your colon sits right behind your prostate. And so if things don't flow naturally really quick through your colon, you get buildup pressure on your colon. It puts pressure on your prostate, and you develop a tumor, which can be malignant or benign, cancerous or not. So eating beans helps you go to the bathroom a lot. Because actually, the single ethnic group in the United States with the lowest rate of prostate cancer, men who have the lowest rate of prostate cancer, the ethnic group that can say that, are Hispanics. Why? Hispanics eat spicy food and salsas and beans, lots of beans, right? And it helps you go to the bathroom. So nothing ever gets to build up any pressure in your colon because you're constantly going to the bathroom, which is good. So yes, and beans taste good. They add a little more flavor to it. I like my chili hot. But I like having a balanced meal, so I like cornbread with my chili for sure. Got to have the cornbread, but I also like putting saltines in there. So I'm putting a lot of, I got the cornbread, I got the saltines, and I better have a salad, and I want to, be able to have something to be able to, push everything through. And plus, again, it just tastes better. So people say no beans and chili. Well, okay, but then it's not really a meal. Beans makes it a meal within one bowl. So you can have, instead of the chili and then you have your sides, you get the beans and the chili in one bowl. You have a full meal, a full balanced meal in one bowl. So as you're eating it, your body's getting that balanced meal, which is a good thing. Let's see. They layered them in Cincinnati, but that's a different kind of chili. Yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't know. Carl sounds Southern. Well, I did live in Houston for 8 years. Went to the University of Houston. Went to Straits Jesuit College Prep also while I was down there. Graduated from there. And, so I guess maybe I might have a little bit of Southern sound in my voice. Yeah, that could very well be. Chai tea every morning keeps you regular. Yeah, I'm a big coffee person, so yeah, I can't get to the chai tea. I see. Is your cornbread done in the middle? Well, yeah, definitely, yeah, it is, yeah. Why do you do like not done in the middle? Yeah, definitely. See, Carl's from Nevada. Well, I'm not from Nevada. I live in Nevada, but yeah, I lived in Houston for 8 years. I went to high school in Houston, and first 2 years in college I went to Houston as well. There you go. So, but yeah, Nevada's a good state. It gets hot. Southern Nevada. Northern Nevada is totally different atmosphere, climate, the whole 10 yards up there. We're Southern Nevada, we're hot. We're not as bad as Arizona, but we're close. And it gets pretty bad. It was a cornbread and beans dead giveaway. Yeah, without a doubt. But hey guys, again I'm gonna call it a day for today. I want to again thank everybody who called in. Again, that's Tony, Effie, and Disabled. I want to thank everybody who's been in the chat all the way through here. Everybody who's been viewing us, and everybody who'll be viewing us later. And I'm on BitChute also. I posted a couple of videos there. It's Carl's Opinion, but it's like no apostrophe on the S, CARLS, then underline opinion. And I don't know how people find people there. I've typed in titles to my shows that I posted up there, and I can't find them anywhere. So they're there. The only time I can find my own videos is when I just go to my own site, and then I see them. So, but what I'm doing, I've been recording these shows, the live shows, and then posting up the live shows up to BitChute as well. So if you're over on BitChute, I'm also there. So yeah, everybody have a great evening, and we'll see what the news brings us today. I doubt I will be going on late tonight, but if I do go on, it will be late tonight. It'll be a late West Coast night show if I go on at all. So anyway, I'll be checking you guys out myself on your channels, and have a great day. And for Carl's Opinion, this is Carl. Take care and keep the faith. Bye-bye.